Sensible. Thank you for that, Catherine. Good morning. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Friday. It's the 7th December. I've got that Friday feeling. It may be partly because yesterday... I bought the Christmas tree. Yes, I bought the Christmas... They're expensive. £50. £50 for a 5-foot Christmas tree. But it's Christmas. It's Christmas. So one of the children won't eat on Christmas Day. It doesn't matter. So I've kind of got that Friday feeling, that sort of Christmassy feeling. We might sneak a little Christmas song in this hour. Who knows? A good one. It's one I've chosen, don't worry. Lots coming up on the show between now and 9, as always. Would like your opinions on a few things. Rules around council housing in St Albans are to change. Who do you think should be entitled to council housing where you live? A street in Watford is classed as the most violent in the country. The mayor says that's unfair and wants the way stats are collected to be changed. And here's something. First class stamp, what is it, 60 pence now? I think something like that. Are you bothering to send Christmas cards this year? You can go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. It's always fun for you to hang out there and argue with the other listeners. I'm really kind of keen to encourage that as a battleground between you all. Go on and have internet fisticuffs. You can text 81333, starting your text 3CR, or you can give us a call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I don't get the thing. I don't get Christmas cards. I've never sent them. I will. I'll send one to my mum because she gets angry if I don't. But I'll send it from my boys. You know, you get those websites where you can make your own cards, where you put a picture of yourself on, or the dog, or whatever. I'll probably send one of those to my mum with the boys on because she likes that, and that's kind of quite nice. But that thing of going and buying a box of Christmas cards, and then spending an hour writing them, and trying to write a slightly different message in each one, and then addressing them, and then putting the stamps. I don't do it. We kind of had a little straw poll here at the... why is it called a straw poll? Anyone know why is it called a straw poll? If you could go 08459 455 555. I suspect my head will be firing off on lots of tangents this morning. It's in that frame of mind. But it seems to be that the ladies send the Christmas cards. They buy those box of cards from Tesco's or from M&S if they're feeling posh, or the charity ones, and they'll write them and sign them and do them and send them off from the family. The bloke's like, yeah, whatever. Dealey doesn't send Christmas cards. Of course Dealey doesn't send Christmas cards. He's got far more important things to do. So we'll talk more about this later on, but can you just give us a call? Are you going to be sending Christmas cards? 08459 455 555. Do you think they're important? We'll talk about that a bit later on, then. Now, you may live in a property that you feel is too small for you and your family, but at what point should the council provide you with a bigger one? Well, the rules surrounding the way in which people are allocated council houses in St Albans has changed this week. One new policy makes it more difficult for tenants to get bigger properties. Anthony Wildman lives with his wife Abby and their 5-month-old baby in a one-bedroom house in the city. They've been told they're now not eligible for a bigger property until their child is 2 years old. They say the house is so small it's causing damp and making the baby ill. Anthony is now suffering depression and they feel their marriage is being strained. Our reporter Victoria Cook went to meet them and have a look at their house.
At the moment we're standing in our front room. Very small front room. I think it's about 13 foot by 13 foot approximately, and you go through to an open plan kitchen which is probably about 10 foot by 6 foot. It's very cold at night. It's very cold all the time. We have to leave the windows open to stop condensation from the damp.
Yeah, I can see coming in here that the back of your front door is actually soaking wet. I've only been here a few minutes. I can feel my skin feeling damp and my clothes feeling damp. I've only been here a few minutes. Is that something you've become used to, or can you notice it?
Well, we notice it all the time, and it's I don't think you ever get used to it. You also got a hell of a lot of condensation on the windows as well, constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And the advice from St Albans Council is to open windows, which isn't really good when it's -.
Actually, as you've pulled the net curtains back, they've now stuck to the windows. But why is that happening? Because from first impressions, the house looks quite modern and new.
Yeah, I think when we had someone out before, she said it is due to 3 people living in the property, rather than, this isn't made for 3 people. There's 3 people breathing in and out all the time. The washing, I have to do it. I've got nowhere to dry it, so that's obviously a lot of it, the cause of it as well.
The house itself seems to be having impacts on the baby's health.
Yeah, with her just now still having a cold. Obviously talking about asthma's not good at this age already. She's not 5 months yet and they're already mentioning the word, which is upsetting to us. So yeah, I think it is having an effect on her health already.
Can we go and have a look upstairs and see what the rest of the house is like?
Certainly.
So to get upstairs, we're having to move things out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a constant thing. It's not just put up there for show.
It's a buggy.
They're all things you need, you know, it's a high chair and
toys.
She can sit in and toys. You know.
Yeah.
As you walk up the stairs, you might have noticed when she does start crawling, there's actually nowhere to put a safety gate.
It's an open plan sort of style, isn't it? So the staircase is open on the left-hand side. Yeah. Right, let's continue up the stairs.
Okay.
So it looks aesthetically quite a lovely house.
It is.
Seems really new and modern and fresh.
Yeah, I think it was built in the 80s, so it is quite new. It is just the space and the conditions that are starting to show around the edges.
So we're in the bathroom now.
Yeah, this is in the bathroom.
You're showing me the main window.
Yeah, and obviously you can see there's mould there, in the corner there, and this is like a day and a half old.
So this has actually been cleaned.
This was cleaned the day before yesterday.
Actually, as I look up at the ceiling, there's water droplets coming from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And is that because someone's just had a shower in here?
I had a bath at 2 o'clock.
And it's 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and there's still, the window is open, ajar. We can't leave it much more than that because the house will be freezing.
And I suppose this moisture from here is going into the house as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You can feel the dampness even more up here, can't you?
Yeah.
So this is your room.
This is the bedroom.
Oh, the bedroom.
Yeah, the bedroom.
So average size, not a bad size at all for a double bedroom.
Yeah.
I'd say most people would be kind of happy with that. But
definitely.
There's a large corner being taken up by the cot.
Yeah. And again, same thing in here.
More black mould in the corner of your bedroom.
And it runs all along the top of that wall and potentially above her cot. It's just not enough living space, and it's all created by 3 people breathing and living here. Me, I'm not being funny. Me is sleeping there. Do you know what I mean? From a married couple's point of view, you know, it can go on for so long, but it does have an effect on your married life.
Are you finding it's having an effect?
I think it's having an effect on both of us. I can't talk for Abby, but it certainly had an effect on me, just by having sort of the confined space all the time. You're living on top of each other, so you bicker, and we never used to. You know, it's just getting ridiculous.
Well, St Albans City and District... Victoria Cook there, excellent report. Thank you, Victoria. St Albans City and District Council say there is great demand for social housing in the district, which exceeds supply. New powers under the Localism Act have given councils greater discretion about who can join the housing register and priority they are given. Some of the changes relate to eligibility for 2-bedroom accommodation, for which there is a high demand. The change is a reflection of the demand for 2-bedroom properties versus the supply. Well, this morning, I want to hear from you. Who do you think should be entitled to housing where you live? 08459 455 555. Do you feel any sympathy for Anthony Wildman there? He's going to be in the studio after 7 o'clock. Do you feel sorry for him? Can you understand the situation? It can't be great, can it? Being a married couple with a young baby living in a 1-bedroom house like that. Or maybe you're thinking, well, actually, it doesn't sound that bad. They're in a 1-bedroom house in St Albans, lovely area. That's kind of life. What are you thinking? Give us a call, 08459 455 555. Having stuff in the hallway, that's part of having kids, isn't it? We got buggies and things like that in the hall. Who do you think should be entitled to council housing where you live? The Tramps, Hold Back the Night. I didn't realise that song has one of, and we'll do this one morning, the worst lines in songs. Okay? It's a great song, but it has the line, like a character in a book that I have read. Oh, right, I see. Oh, that's that book. Yes, the book that you've read, I see. We'll do that one morning. That's always a fun thing. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. Who do you think should be entitled to free council housing and Christmas cards? I mean, can we just knock this nonsense on the head? I got a Christmas card yesterday from a listener, right, to Iain. A very kind, they'd spelt Iain wrong. They spelt it E-A-N, I think. But also, the name Iain was on a bit of paper in the card that was stuck down. I removed that bit of paper, and underneath the name Iain, it was written the name Steve. I was getting a second-hand Christmas card. I have always been a huge supporter of libraries. I've always been a huge supporter of libraries. I went to the library yesterday to take back some books, and they were a little bit overdue. I had 4 books. 2 of them were mine, 2 of them were the boys', but they were on my wife's card. And they were like maybe 3 weeks. Maybe one of them was a month overdue. And my mum has brought me up well, so I always feel guilty going to the library with overdue books, and I felt very embarrassed. And I took the adult books downstairs to this tall, big gentleman. I said, I'm really, really sorry, I've got some books, I think they're a little bit overdue. He went, OK, not a problem. Scan them. Now, I come from the era when overdue books were 10 pence for the first day, then tuppence a day after that, right? For these two books, £11.40. Oh, excuse me? There's me fumbling in my pocket, trying to find some change. £11.40. Thought, well, time's changed. I'll pay for that. I then took the boys' books upstairs. Two of them were overdue, not quite as long. £12.80. What? You are having a laugh. She said, well, these books, they are on your wife's ticket, so if you'd rather, she can pay the fine when she comes in. I went, yeah, we'll do that. She's not working, but I think it's probably for the best that she learns to take responsibility for her overdue books. So I spent about £23 yesterday on library fine. No wonder libraries are closing down. I could have bought Waterstones in Watford for that yesterday. Could have done. If I made him a cash offer. But I'm in libraries. Christmas cards. I'm in a good mood, but I'm having a bit of a whinge today. I hope you don't mind. Why bother with Christmas cards, really? What is the point of them? Well, Jen in Houghton Regis is not happy with me. She's texted 81333, starting her text 3CR. I always send Christmas cards to keep in touch with old friends and relations far away. And proper letters, not round robins. You're just lazy, Iain. No, I'm not lazy. Christmas cards are so expensive and such a chore. The thing is, if you're going to do them to 5 people, you've got to do them to 50 people, because you've got to do them to everyone. And then there's that thing of you get a Christmas card. Catherine Boyle was mentioning this. You get a Christmas card, you get it on Christmas Eve. Oh, sneaky. Too late for me to send one back, isn't it? I see what you've done there. You've made yourself look good. No, it's a chore. It's pointless. I don't appreciate getting Christmas cards. I barely look at them. I'll put it on the mantelpiece, but the days of what my mum used to do is hanging ribbons on the wall and pinning the Christmas cards into the ribbons. Really? She used to hang the ribbon down the wall and pin the Christmas cards into them. Really? No. I think it's just women that send them. Can we find a bloke that sends Christmas cards, please? 08459 455 555. And a sister who's on my side in this. A woman who thinks that Christmas cards are a load of old tosh. A waste of money. And don't get me started on those round robins. Hi, everyone. Just a note to let you know what me and Steve have been up to through the year. Well, on January the 1st of 2012, I don't care. Don't care. We don't see each other, so why would I be interested? On a completely different subject, a road in Watford is the most violent in the country. That's according to police statistics. The mayor says that's unfair and has been campaigning for 2 years to get the way stats are collected changed. Albert Road South. Oh, do you live there? Suddenly your ears are pricked up, hasn't it? Albert Road South, it's deemed the most violent street. Even worse than places like Manchester. Whoa, violent Manchester, violent Liverpool. It's worse than that. Well, is this a true reflection of Watford? Reporter Serena Farrow spoke to the people who live at the north end of the road. Many say they are affected by late-night revellers.
I love living here. Who wants a telly? You look out your window and
you get all the entertainment you like.
Definitely. Just draw back your curtain and there it is.
So what have you seen over the years living here then?
I've had my fence kicked in, I have bottles in my garden, and you see the fights going on. But you see, you got all the police, you got all the cameras, so it's quite safe really. But, I mean, you've got to blame the nightclubs, you've got to blame the food places where they're open late, which keeps the people hanging around in town, so they're going straight home. What can one do? Short of shut the nightclubs down and all the pubs and have them shut at 10:30 like they used to years ago.
Young people coming here every weekend, but it's not a problem.
I've had damage done to my property 7-8 times.
So on average once a year at least?
Yeah, people defecated in my driveway, urinate in your driveway, over your car, and women urinating in the street. You don't need that, do you? And then enough's enough. I have to pay council tax here, and I expect to have law and order in the place anyway. If we don't get law and order, then we'll have to do something about it ourselves. And of course, the minute you say, I'm going to form a vigilante squad, the police don't like it. You're not allowed to take the law into your own hands. But then I said, get off your backside and then do your job. You know, my old car now, it has been damaged so many times, but it costs me money. The council don't pay for the damage. This club attracts people from a vast area. From a far afield is Luton and Milton Keynes. They bust them in. So there's always, and as they don't live here, you know.
Somebody got into my garage and they've pinched just about everything worth having.
How much do you think then people have lost collectively, money-wise?
Oh,
Just
well,
to
when you come to
quantify.
decade, it's probably in the thousands, because there's been damage to cars, to fences. I know of one that was £300 to repair. It is a shame, in the sense, because it will put some people off. It would put perhaps businesses off, which wouldn't be good for Watford. I know a lot of elderly don't like walking through the parade at night. I make a point of doing it.
And you don't feel threatened?
No, I don't. I've never felt threatened there.
A lot of them make their way to the station, some of them to get taxis down there rather than in the town and so on. The things that have happened at this house particularly, a hole punched in my fiberglass garage door. Ripping wing mirrors off or ripping wipers and aerials is a very common thing to do.
Residents of Watford there speaking to our reporter Serena Farrell. Do you know the street? Albert Road South. It's the most violent in the country. But do you agree with that? You live there? You've been there? You know it? I know it. I'm aware of it. How do you feel? And if you live in Watford, how does that make you feel, knowing that the most violent street in the country is in your town? I did like that guy. Well, if you get together a vigilante squad, the police get a little bit funny with you. Well, yeah, they might do. I can understand their worries around that. I'll tell you who won't be calling in this morning. We will not get two people. We will not get men calling in, or even a man calling in who sends Christmas cards. I don't mean just one or two. I mean buys the whole box and does it. We won't get that, and we won't get a woman calling in who doesn't send Christmas cards. I think it's a genetic predisposition to either do it or not do it. Care to prove me wrong? You won't be able to. 08459 455. I want a bloke who sends lots of Christmas cards and a woman who doesn't bother. Speak to you possibly after this. The news and sport now with Catherine Boyle.
And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 7 o'clock.
Catherine, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Christmas cards.
Yeah.
You do it, do you?
Yeah. But do you know why?
Why?
Because otherwise you're a bad friend. There's that whole thing. It's kind of an aggressive thing.
You're a bad friend?
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm a bad friend to my friends?
Women feel that, you know. When I get a Christmas card, I think, oh, I haven't got you one, I'm a bad friend. There's a whole lot of guilt wrapped up in it.
Thank you very much.
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wow. You're a bad friend if you don't send a Christmas card. Is that really how girls' heads work? I so don't know how girls work. I just don't understand them. Coming up in the next half an hour. Yesterday on the JVS show, there was an incredible call from Tony from Milton Keynes. He's threatening to kill himself because he can't afford to live on his pension. We'll play you some of the call a bit later on, and we'll find out why suicide rates amongst men over 45 have been increasing over the last 5 years. And are you bothering to send Christmas cards this year? You heard Catherine Boyle there. Normally the voice of reason. She feels like she's a bad friend if she doesn't do it. I'm not going to do it. It costs too much and it's a waste of time. 60 pence per stamp. You send 10 of them. It's like a fiver. I'm joking. I know it's £5.60. Well, Justin Dealey is in Bedfordshire this morning, finding out exactly what you think. You can give us a call, 08459 455 555. There's something happening on Nick Coffer's show next week. It's on the 12th. Get this. Dig it. You see what they've done here? The 12th of the 12th of the 12th. On the 12 seconds past 12 minutes past 12. Is that how you say time? It felt wrong, but I think it's right. 12 seconds past 12 minutes past 12. You wouldn't normally say the seconds. That's where it really is. Anyway. What about now? We, and I say we, I don't mean me, I exclude myself from this we, plan to capture a single moment across the whole of Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire. So you need to get your camera ready. You got enough time. It's the 12th of the 12th of the 12th at 12 seconds past 12 on 12 o'clock. And take a picture. And Nick's going to come on the show, I think. He's going to come on my show on Tuesday and have a little chitty-chat about that and explain it in far better detail than I ever could. 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give us a call about any of the things we're talking about. And here's something you might want to have a say on. 1 in 5 pensioners are living in poverty. But how bad do things have to get before people take drastic measures to solve the problem? Since 2007, suicide rates for men aged 45 to 74 have been increasing, and now they're the highest they've ever been. Yesterday, Tony called the JVS show.
I'm hearing, if you like, this dissemination of language against pensioners from all authorities. When I spoke to my pension department asking why it was so low, they said, you should be grateful you've been granted it. I said, granted a pension? I've earned it. I paid in for 45 years. And then I heard in the House of Commons, because I watch the Parliament channel now and again, and there was a lady, I can't remember her name, Lady so-and-so, who stood up and made a speech saying that the problem with this country has got to be dealt with, especially the elderly, who are draining society with their pensions. You try living on food. Pinot Grigio, I can't afford a bottle of Ribena. What I'm going to do is I've drafted a letter. It's going to go to the Prime Minister and all other interested and relevant media that I shall be enacting my self-determination.
What do you mean, you will be enacting your self-determination?
I will be taking my life.
Wow. Well, Neil Duncan-Jordan is National Officer for the National Pensioners Convention. Joins me on the line now. Morning, Neil.
Good morning, Ian.
Are there a lot of... I mean, Tony there is obviously very distressed and is worried about his financial situation. I'm guessing that there are more pensioners who would consider such action, are there?
Well, Tony's right to raise the important point about how older people are being portrayed at the moment, and I think he used the phrase burden on society. In fact, in the last 6 months, we've seen commentators in the media, leading politicians, and a number of academics and think tanks all use this expression that the country's got a problem, and the problem is that older people are a burden. Actually, none of the statistics show that. Older people add tremendous value to the country. 40 billion, in fact, every year is put back into society, more than it costs to pay pensions and care, through taxes, through voluntary work, and through unpaid caring. So pensioners are not a burden, they're an asset. But Tony's other point, I think, is, why do people feel like this? And I think there are a number of general reasons. I don't know about his specific case, but in general there are a number of reasons. Firstly, when people give up work, they often feel like their meaning and their status is lost. We value people in work so much that the minute you step outside the workplace, you feel like you're second class and nobody cares. Then there's the issue of income. Of course, Britain has one of the lowest state pensions in Europe.
I was going to ask you, how does it compare with other countries?
Yeah, I mean, we're fourth from bottom out of 27 European countries, so, I mean, it's not good. It's not good at all, and 1 in 5 pensioners live below the poverty line. You mentioned that in your introduction. It's not just the fact that your income is low, it's the fact that your costs are high. In this country, obviously, we've seen rising fuel costs, food costs, and so on, and pensioners' incomes are not rising as fast as inflation. In fact, the government have changed the way in which inflation is measured to give you less than you would have got previously. That's another concern. And the final concern really is the issue of how you're cared for when you can no longer care for yourself. Every week there's a headline somewhere about an older person in hospital or in a care home who's been mistreated. Now, that's not to say that every institution is bad, every nurse, every care worker is terrible. That's not the case. But when you get a constant stream of stories that are very negative about the way in which older people are being neglected or abused, it makes people extremely worried about, well, what happens if I have to go into care? Am I going to be treated badly? And it's a big concern. Now, I'm not saying any of those reasons are the reasons why Tony has made this decision, but you can see the sort of pressures and concerns that older people have.
Neil, in terms of the finances of the pension and of care and things like that, there is no money, is there? Everyone's having to make cutbacks. What more could the government do, do you think?
Well, there is money. I'm sure some of your listeners will realise that, last March when the Chancellor gave a freeze on the age-related allowances for pensioners, known as the granny tax, he gave a 5% reduction in the tax rate for those on £150,000 a year.
But so there is
money around.
Well, there isn't, though, is there? He would argue that by reducing that tax rate, that would actually bring in more tax.
Well, no. It brings in less, of course, because they're taxed at a lower rate.
Well, no, but he was saying that they would bring in more tax because of the way people's financial things are set up. There is no money. Everyone's having to make cuts, aren't they?
No, there is money.
Where?
Well, there is money. Well, the National Insurance Fund, for example, has got over £30 billion in it, which is what pensioners paid in for years and what today's workers pay into. But there's also money around. I mean, you've seen the recent debate about Starbucks and taxation and so on. There is money around, and I think...
Neil, you keep saying there's money around. I don't mean to push this point, but there isn't. Hospitals are facing cutbacks. Libraries are being closed. They're in the biggest debt that we've ever been in. There isn't money.
Well, there is money around.
Where?
There is an estimate that there's up to 120 billion in tax which is not being collected.
But that doesn't mean that's not money that's actually there. That's money that is not being collected for whatever reason. There is no money in a pot. There's no pot of money anywhere to pay for these things.
Well, there are. The National Insurance Fund is a pot of money. I've just told you there's 30 billion in there. But it's also the way in which money is distributed. The existing money is distributed. That's another way of looking at it. And we're giving tax relief to the better off in their pension contributions, and they don't need it. And that money could be redistributed further down the line. So that when you argue there is no money, there is money. It's where it's going.
Why shouldn't I? Because I get tax relief for my pension contributions. Why shouldn't I get that?
Yeah, but should you get it at the 40% rate rather than the 20% rate? That's the argument.
Yeah. Neil, listen, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for that. Neil Duncan-Jordan, National Officer for the National Pensioners Convention. Well, later on in the show, we'll be speaking to Claire Wiley from the Samaritans and co-author of a report looking at the problems men face as they reach retirement and why some do consider suicide. David Prever's in for JVS today. He'll be catching up with Tony and Milton Keynes after 10. He'll be asking, do you know what it's like to live on the bare minimum? I hope you don't think I was pushing Neil there, but I don't think there is any money. Is that that's the thing, you know, and a few million here, a few million there. It ain't a lot in the great scheme of things, really. Fascinating. I should just tease up, dear listener, in a few moments I'll be playing the first Christmas song of this show. Oh, no, don't! Because it's the best Christmas song of all time. Not Frank Sidebottom, sorry. It's the second best Christmas song of all time. But before that, let's get the weather with Elizabeth Rossini.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
And not just radio's Elizabeth Rossini. It's television's Elizabeth Rossini. We all got excited. I got a wave on the glass saying, Elizabeth's on the she's on the TV.
Oh.
And we came through. You're wearing a very summery dress this morning.
No, it's not. It's a winter dress. Look at the colours.
It's got loads of bright flowers on it.
Yes, I know, but it's a winter dress. It's very thick material.
Well, I couldn't tell the thickness.
I think it's to cheer us all up on what is going to be quite a bleak day, I have to say.
I'll let you get on with it then.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, we're going to see some wintry showers. That's what we're going to see. But it's slightly milder this morning. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I had noticed that. Very quickly, Elizabeth, Christmas cards, do you send them?
They're getting fewer and fewer. I always have to send one to, like, my old auntie, my godmother, and people like that. People that I wouldn't necessarily email, but I'm not very good at that.
Elizabeth, thank you very much. You're the first lady to duck out of the cards. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. You can text us as well. 81333. Start your text 3CR. Iain, I'm a male. And I buy, write and send my own Christmas cards every year. My wife sends her own ones. Well, you do separate ones and you're married. Are you insane? And we agree on who we'll send to the mutual friends, but we both sign those. From Colin. David from Marsh Farm. Iain, I send about 60 Christmas cards and hand deliver about 90% of them. Are you mental, brothers? Come on! Right. This is the first Christmas song I've played. I'm actually excited. I'm getting tingles. What a Christmas song. It doesn't get any better than this. Paul McCartney, he's simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Good on you, fella. Come on. That's 3 minutes 46 seconds of pure Christmas. Boingy bass, weird keyboards, very strange guitar sounds. Beautiful harmonies. That, my friends, is Christmas. Christmas starts today. Excellent work. Justin Dealey is out and about in Toddington. Morning, Justin.
Oh, Ian.
Merry Christmas, Justin.
Oh, Ian, that was wonderful, wasn't it?
Wasn't it for that? It's Christmas in a pop song. How cool is that?
I am just so excited. You have done it for me this morning. Paul McCartney, we roll him out every Christmas, isn't it? Fantastic.
He'd love to be described as being rolled out every Christmas. Christmas card. We're talking Christmas cards this morning,
Yes.
Justin. While I love Christmas, I love everything about Christmas, I think that sending cards, it's expensive, it's a chore, it's a waste of time. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I don't send Christmas cards. I used to. It is a bit of a chore. And you go and buy a box of, 200 Christmas cards. They're all the same. How can that be personal, Ian? How can that be
rubbish.
personal?
Utter rubbish.
It can't be. Well, I'm at Toddington Services this morning. Do people still send Christmas cards? A moment ago, I popped into the building to get some reaction. There is a surprise in this particular piece of audio. This is what happens. Now, Jean, you do send Christmas cards. Tell us why you do it every year.
Because I keep in touch with people that I don't see all through the year or for several years, so I send them to know that I'm still around, still thinking about them.
So anybody who doesn't send them, are they just miserable?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. I don't send them. Am I miserable then?
Definitely.
Extra miserable?
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks for that. Have a good day. We found an Australian. I cannot believe this. We were looking for an Aussie all day yesterday. We couldn't find one. What's your name, madam?
Jasmine.
Now, Jasmine, Christmas cards, first of all. Do you send them every year?
Yeah, well, my dad and I send them to the family in England.
And that's really important you do that, because that Christmas card means a lot.
Yes.
You don't know what's coming next, do you? You're worried about this. Whilst you were on your flight, there was a prank call made by an Australian radio station to the hospital where Kate Middleton was staying. Yes, a prank call. They almost got through. So this is your opportunity right now to apologise for your nation's behaviour. Would you like to say sorry across beds, hearts and bucks?
Yeah, that is completely deplorable. I'm really disappointed in my country, my culture. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
I just would like to apologise on behalf of Australia. That's really disappointing.
That's very sincere.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Thank you so much. There you go. Found an Aussie as well. Madam, what's your name?
My name's Judith.
Can you be bothered to send Christmas cards? What is the point?
Well, there is a good point still, but not everyone uses the mail system a lot now. So everything's by email, text. And
is that because stamps are too expensive?
That might be a reason, yeah, why I'd have to pay for stamps, yeah. So
when you were younger, you did send Christmas cards, but not anymore. It's because you're simply too busy.
There's probably one reason, yeah, and it's more quicker now by doing it other means.
There you go, just some of the reaction, Ian.
That poor Aussie girl, right, she just gets off a really long flight, she sees a bloke with a microphone that says BBC on it, and she's asked to apologise for her nation's behaviour. She sounded terrified.
Well, she apologised. She was, when I told her what had happened, she was devastated by it.
Rightfully so.
We have that apology. We haven't got enough time to... we haven't got enough time to play them all, but I did speak to another man a moment ago who said, look, a lot of people send e-Christmas cards. That is just a nonsense.
Oh,
he
rubbish.
said, I go out every single year. I do buy Christmas cards because there's so many people that I know, so many people that I'm friendly with. I don't get the chance to speak to them that often, so it's a card once a year to say I'm still here and I still care.
Deborah, listen to this, Justin. Deborah has sent us a text. There's no point to Christmas cards. They're a waste of money, which is fine. Then she goes, I can say Happy Christmas to you on your Facebook. Oh, no. I don't want that.
So you don't want a card, you don't want a Facebook message. What do you want, Ian?
A present.
A present, yeah. I knew it was coming to that, yeah.
What have you got me this year, Just?
I was going to pop into a pound shop probably next week and see what I can rustle up for you.
Justin Dealey, thank you very much. Marilyn has texted as well. 81333, starting the text 3CR. Morning, bar humbug to you. You can't bar humbug me. I love Christmas. How dare you? I think it's lovely to get a Christmas or birthday card in the post instead of bills. So don't get letters, only emails. I'm sure that goes for a lot of people. I bet you don't even write to Santa anymore. Well, Marilyn, you've caught me on the hoof. I write to Santa every year. Shove that letter up that chimney. 08459 455 555. Christmas cards, really. There is no point to them. Think of all those poor trees. Thank you, Catherine. Morning. This is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio. 3 minutes past 7, it's Friday. To quote R. Kelly, it's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. Including decorating the Christmas tree. I'm all Christmassy now. I bought the tree yesterday and made an executive dad decision. We were supposed to be moving before Christmas. It's looking unlikely, shall we say. Oh, yeah, because someone in this chain of 6 houses turns out hasn't got British residency, and they've got to apply for it before they get a mortgage approved. Anyway, bought a Christmas tree, played the first Christmas song of the year just then, Paul McCartney. Getting in a Christmas mood. Lots coming up on the show this morning, as always. Would love your opinion. A lot of you using the Facebook page this morning. And you're being quite feisty on there. I like it. I'll give out the details in a bit. Here's what we're talking about. See what grabs your fancy. Who do you think should be entitled to council housing? We're going to speak to a St Albans man in a second and find out why he's unhappy he can't be moved from a one-bedroom house to a two-bedroom property. You, the taxpayer, you're going to face a big bill over the botched West Coast Rail franchise process. Virgin is going to run the service through Watford and Milton Keynes for the next 2 years. Are you happy travelling? To keep travelling on Virgin trains? And let's be honest, Christmas cards. Big waste of time and far too expensive. No one really pays any attention to it. Ultimately, they're going to get chucked in the bin. I tell you what, just go and put a £5 in the bin now. That's all you need to do. If you want to get in touch, lots of ways. 08459 455 555. Couple of lines free now, so now's a good time to call. You can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or, and more and more of you are doing this, and I think it's a great way of doing it because you can have little arguments with each other. And I love to see you argue. Just play nicely. It's good to see you argue. Go to the Facebook page. Facebook.com/BBC 3CR.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you go there now, you'll see a picture of the house that we're about to talk about. You might live in a property that you feel is too small for you and your family. But at what point should the council provide you with a bigger one? Well, the rules surrounding the way in which people are allocated council houses in St Albans has changed this week. Our new policy makes it more difficult for tenants to get bigger properties. Anthony Wildman lives with his wife Abby and their 5-month-old baby in a one-bedroom house in the city. They've been told they're now not eligible for a bigger property until their child is 2 years old. They say the house is so small it's causing damp and making the baby ill. Anthony is now suffering depression and they feel their marriage is being strained. Well, we sent our reporter Victoria Cook to go and meet them and have a look at their house.
So we're in the bathroom now.
Yeah, this is in the bathroom.
You're showing me the main window.
Yeah, and obviously you can see there's mould there, in the corner there, and this is like a day and a half old.
So this has actually been cleaned.
This was cleaned the day before yesterday.
Actually, as I look up at the ceiling, there's water droplets coming from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And is that because someone's just had a shower in here?
I had a bath at 2 o'clock.
And it's 5:30 in the afternoon.
And there's still, the window is open, ajar. We can't leave it much more than that because the house will be freezing.
And I suppose this moisture from here is going into the house as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You can feel the dampness even more up here, can't you?
Yeah.
So this is your room.
This is the bedroom.
Oh, the bedroom.
Yeah, the bedroom.
So average size, not a bad size at all for a
No.
double bedroom.
Yeah.
I'd say most people would be kind of happy with
Yeah,
that. But
definitely.
there's a large corner being taken up by the cot.
Yeah. And again, same thing in here.
More black mould in the
More
corner of your
black mould.
bedroom.
And it runs all along the top of that wall and potentially above her cot. It's just not enough living space, and it's all created by 3 people breathing and living here.
That's our reporter Victoria Cook speaking to Anthony Wildman. And Anthony joins you on the line now. Morning, Anthony.
Good morning.
Why do you think you're entitled to a bigger house?
Well, I mean, the size of our house is very small, and the actual space that we've got for Mia, it's just not enough. Babies come with a lot of baggage, as I'm sure everyone knows, as you would know, being a dad. And there's just not enough room. There's no storage space. It's just really, really confined. The law states, the 1935 Overcrowding Act, if you've got so many square feet, you're not to be living sort of below that mark. When I've measured it and looked at it, we're below that mark. So the council in their new act, the Localism Act, are breaking the law anyway.
Why don't you rent privately?
Because I can't afford rent privately. I work 21 hours a week, earning £7.2 an hour. I was made redundant earlier this year, so I took a part-time job because I couldn't find a full-time job, just because I wanted to work and pay my tax and pay my way. I've done for 30 years, and I can't afford to work privately, rent privately in St Albans.
Council waiting lists, as we know, for properties are so long, and some people might argue, and in fact a couple of people have posted on the Facebook page, that you should be grateful for a property of any size.
Look, we are grateful for property of any size, but the people, I'd imagine, that have posted them probably live in a 3-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house. my argument to them is you come and stay here with a 5-month-old baby that's already probably suffering from asthma, who's had viral meningitis, and live in this property. That'd be my argument to them. I am grateful for what we've got. I know there's a big waiting list, but all that's happening here is they're making the waiting list smaller by making people that already have a need. But these people's needs haven't gone away. We've still got a need. They assessed that need, and then they've taken it away without any notice. Well, 4 weeks' notice.
St Albans is nice, isn't it?
It's a lovely area.
Why don't you consider moving somewhere that's not quite so affluent and not quite so desirable, like Hemel or Welwyn Garden City, where it's cheaper?
Well, we could do that, but would the rent be any cheaper? Because we live in Housing Association Council anyway. We could not afford to rent privately. I bring home £147 a week. That's what I bring home.
Yeah.
Anywhere you live, I'm paying child maintenance to my previous relationship from 15 years ago. I'm getting food, paying petrol for a car. The cost of that will go up. It's just not practical. I'm not one of these people who sit around and get all my benefits paid. I work on low income. And so moving away isn't going to help.
What? But I'm kind of thinking what my mum would say and what my nan would say. And my mum, for a while, when she had my sister, lived in a one-bedroom house, and it was tough. A one-bedroom flat. It was tough, but they got on with it.
Right, okay. Yeah, we are getting on with it, and we're going to have to get on with it until we're 2. My objection is for everyone out there. When that child is 2, we're going to have to wait even longer. And then you've got to try and get that child into a room. It's just not affecting us. It's going to affect me later on in life.
Yeah. Why do you think you're more of a priority than other vulnerable people?
Oh, I don't think I'm more of a priority. I think I have the same rights as everyone else done that have been taken away. Okay. All them rights from people have been taken away. It's across the whole spectrum. There's people that have had council houses for 9 or 10 years and now been removed from the housing list. Well, if they have better times and they get back on the housing list and they bid again, all them rights to a discount that so-called government want everyone to have their own home, it's been removed because they're new classed as new tenants.
Actually, can I read you a couple of comments from the Facebook page? The people have written. Jackie Robinson, we put a picture of your living room, your kitchen up. Jackie Robinson has posted, looks nice. Helen has posted, they're lucky to have a council home. All 3 of my kids have to rent from landlords and finding it hard to find the rents. And Helen says, why do they think they should be entitled to anything? I own my own property, would love a bigger house, but I can't afford it. Be grateful you have a roof over your head. Why should the state provide for them?
Right, OK. They're all very good comments, and it's nice to hear people saying that our house are nice.
Does look very nice.
I would add, it's nice for them to comment on that. It's a nice comment. What I would say is I don't expect the state to provide me loads of money for like, council tax and benefits and whatever. I've paid a lot of money into the system. I've fallen on hard times. All I want is a little bit of help. Now, if we'd known the situation was going to happen in a year's time, 2 years' time, we could have planned for that. The point is that they've done it and given 4 weeks' notice. Any legislation or act is normally introduced a year or 2 years down the line. They haven't done that. They've given 4 weeks' notice.
There are some people who would say, Anthony, that you shouldn't have kids unless you know that you can financially look after them and you have the means to look after them.
Okay. When my wife and I got married last year, we were both in employment. She fell pregnant 2 months after we got married. I got made redundant just after Mia came along. So how am I meant to know that? I was financially stable at the time. How am I meant to know I'm going to get made redundant?
Why weren't you renting then?
More kids because of this situation.
Yeah. Why weren't you renting then?
Because Abby was provided a council home when she was...
When you were both working?
No, she wasn't working at the time, actually. She was living with her own nan. This was years ago.
OK. So, but you both had jobs last year. Why weren't you renting then?
Because we had a council home.
But you could have afforded to pay rent then?
No, not on the money I was on.
OK. Anthony, listen, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for inviting me on, Ian. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Well, that's Anthony Wildman. We've got a statement from St Albans District Council, City and District Council. They say new powers under the Localism Act have given councils greater discretion. The change is a reflection of the demand for 2-bedroom properties versus the supply. Well, go to the Facebook page. I hope you don't think I was being harsh there, because I genuinely don't know how I feel about this. It's one of those things. Normally, I know exactly how I feel. On this one, I don't know how I feel. Listen, I'm very sympathetic. They got a 5-month-old baby. I just know that my mum, my mum and my dad and my sister lived in a one-bedroom flat for a while, and you kind of get on with things. I wish them the very best of luck. Anyway, you can go to the Facebook page and have a look at some pictures of the damp and some pictures of the house. Christmas cards, waste of money? Of course they are. Paul's in Leighton Buzzard. Morning, Paul.
Good morning, Ian.
They're a waste of money, aren't they, Paul?
Oh, rubbish.
What?
Rubbish.
Sorry?
I normally send, or my wife and I normally send about 100 cards a year.
Squeeze me, 100 cards?
Yes.
Now, when you say you and your wife...
a wide circle of friends and etc.
When you say you and your wife, is it your wife that does the writing?
No, I do. I do about 70% of them.
Blimey.
There we are. But what I was going to say is that in this year's Christmas cards, apart from those I sent to my family, I've put a note to say that in future... I won't be sending a card. Instead, I'll be making a donation to the brain tumour research because of, family situation. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I always make a point of I always send Dr. Bernardo's cards.
So you're helping out a little bit, which is great.
Yes.
But you've decided that your money could be spent elsewhere on something better and more appropriate, brain tumour charity.
Absolutely.
How much do you spend a year on Christmas cards, Paul?
If I work out 100 cards, about 80 of them are sent in the post. So you're talking, what is the first card?
60 pence a stamp these days.
50?
60, Paul.
60, well, no, I send second class.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
So work it out, but I spent, but that money anyhow is going to go to the brain tumour research.
Well, Paul, listen, well done. Good for you, fella. Thank you for that. Now, a road in Watford is apparently the most violent in the country. That's according to police statistics. The mayor says that's unfair and has been campaigning for 2 years to get the way stats are collected changed. Albert Road South is deemed the most violent street, even worse than places like Manchester and scary Liverpool. The problem is that a nightclub is also on the street, and that sort of skews the figures a bit. Well, Dorothy Thornhill is the mayor of Watford, but she's also been campaigning to change the way the stats are formulated. Morning, Dorothy.
Good morning, Ian.
And on the other line, we've also got Chief Inspector for Watford, Nick Cavely. Morning, Chief Inspector.
Good morning.
Dorothy, we'll speak to you first. You fear it sends out the wrong message about Watford, don't you?
Yes, I do, because if it were true, then obviously we would have a massive problem on our hands. That said, we are always working to bring down crime in the high street, which I'm sure the Chief Inspector will confirm. Yes, I mean, for most of my residents, they worry about what happens at the top of the town at night. But the irony is the fact that we have thousands, and I mean thousands, of young people come into the town centre to enjoy a night out. They actually tell us they come because they feel safe, because they believe Watford is well policed, they believe there's good security at the venues, and they come and they enjoy it. But it sends out to the rest of everywhere, not just my residents, but in the area, that this is not a safe place to come.
So the stats are wrong for saying Albert Road South is the most violent street?
No, it's the way the stats are compiled, and I'm not techie, but the bottom line is if you look at the list, you'll notice that there's nothing for London, nothing for Nottingham, deemed the worst place in the country. It's the fact that we've got a large number of visitors and a small number of residents in that area, and it's the way that the stats are compiled.
Chief Inspector, the stats are compiled in a wrong and misleading way. Is that right?
Well, it's absolutely right to reassure everyone that actually what we do in the town centre is very robust and designed to keep everybody safe. The context around the particular figures here are, as Dorothy has suggested, it's a very short street of about 200 yards with a predominantly commercial premises, but a small number, and we're talking 4 or 5 houses. Unfortunately, the way that the national statistics are displayed is all crime for the parade and the high street, which are solely commercial premises, are allocated on the website to this particular street because that's where the nearest houses are.
We've heard stories this morning, Chief Inspector, and Dorothy. We'll go to you first, Nick. From people who live in that street and live in that area. And they have seen some pretty horrible things. Women urinating in the street. Some guy had someone defecating up his driveway. Theft, violence. So it's not a great place, is it, that street?
Well, and that's why I started by reassuring your listeners that we're taking very robust police action. We have daytime and nighttime operations, and we've just launched our local responsibility plan, where as a partnership with Dorothy and the local council, we're asking the local licensed premises to take some more responsibility for some of the issues that we recognise.
Dorothy, let me go to Dorothy, Nick. Sorry, Dorothy, we've heard some pretty awful stories.
Well, of course you will hear that from my residents. If you put thousands of young people, mainly under 25s, together in a small area, out for the night, you will get that sort of thing. I'm absolutely delighted that they didn't say even worse things, quite frankly.
Defecating on your driveway is quite bad.
Yes, it is. But I think, there could be other things that could be a lot worse than that. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not demeaning that. I'm just delighted that is the sort of things they were saying.
Sorry? You're delighted that they were...
No, what I'm saying is they could be saying that there was really violent fights,
yes, I see
that
your
there
point,
were people fornicating in their doorway, the kind of things you see on videos on the television are really quite distressing. And whilst these things are absolutely distressing to people, I think it could be a lot worse. But the key point is we do communicate with those people, we do know what's going on, and we are working to make it better.
Dorothy, do you think things like this, these statistics and stories and hearsay, that they discourage people from going into Watford late at night because of its image?
I think they discourage older people, and that's my real issue. It clearly doesn't discourage the young people, because they do go, they love it, and as I say they go because they feel safe, and I include my own family amongst that. But for the rest of my residents, it gives them a really bad perception of their town centre. But never at any time would you get myself or the police saying that there aren't issues to address, because there are, and we take residents' concerns very, very seriously, and we always make adjustments and we try and improve things in the area as best we can. But sadly, we have a culture in this country of young people, when they're out for a night out, a small minority of them do actually ruin it for the rest.
Nick, the system, it would appear, is slightly flawed in that case, in terms of registering and calculating just how violent or dangerous a place is. Can the system be changed at all?
It's obviously a national system, and I think it's been set up primarily to reflect or allow residents to look into their areas and understand what's going on in their areas. In this particular case, obviously, that creates a bit of a skew, and indeed we're working with some of the national compilers to try and sort that out.
Nick, can I ask you, just going off a complete tangent, so bear with me for a second. We're talking this morning about sending Christmas cards. You sound like a responsible, decent, upstanding police officer. Do you bother to send Christmas cards, or do you think they're a waste of time?
I'll certainly be sending Christmas cards to my nearest and dearest this Christmas.
Oh, you're good, Dorothy. And Dorothy, I bet you'll be sending loads, won't you?
I've been signing away for the last few days, yes.
Have you got writer's cramp yet? Has that come on?
Not quite, but it's getting that way.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Dorothy Thornhill, the Mayor of Watford, and Chief Inspector for Watford, Nick Caveney.
The BBC in beds, Herts and bucks. This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well. I just don't get the Christmas cards thing. I don't get it. And I'm not even that bothered when I get one, because if I get sent one, my heart, it sort of sinks a little bit. It sort of sinks, and I'm like, oh, I've got to respond to these people now. I don't bother responding to them, really. I find it tedious and a chore. So I'll have none of that. I'll let you know. Let's have a look. A few comments on the Facebook page. I do like it when you go on the Facebook page and say bits and pieces. And Anthony's posting on there as well. Well done, Anthony. Thank you for getting involved. I was worried that I was maybe a bit harsh with Anthony, but I'm glad he seems to be a good sport about the whole thing. This was the house we talked about earlier on. It's a young couple. They've got a young 5-month-old baby. It's a one-bedroom place. St Albans have changed the rules, which means they can't apply for a 2-bedroom place until the kid is 2. Lena Day says, I have a 3-bedroom house with a disabled husband, 3 grown-up children and a granddaughter. Know how that man feels, but at least we have somewhere to live. Anthony, who we spoke to, says, I would like to invite anyone who wants to come and see it for yourself. The point I'm making is it's been taken away without notice. Leanne says, I was about to say the same. The 1985 Housing Act includes lounges as a suitable place to sleep. And Anthony again posts, I'm grateful for having our place. It's just having our rights taken away. And in terms of the damp, Mark Ross is saying, you need a dehumidifier. They're good dehumidifiers. They're a bit pricey. I think about 120 quid if you want to get something that's half decent. On the subject of Christmas cards, Mike is in Luton. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, and how are you?
I'm getting annoyed with Christmas. I love Christmas. I'm so excited by it. We're going to decorate the Christmas tree today. Wonderful. But Christmas cards, Mike, please, you agree with me. We don't need them, do we?
Absolutely disagree.
Oh, you are joking.
Oh, I'm not joking. I sit down with my little boy every year and we write cards out. Me and my little boy together, so...
How old is your little boy?
He's 10 now, so...
Let him write his own cards.
Well, we do them together. He tells me who he wants them to go to and we do them together, so...
In that context, that's actually quite nice, sitting down with your boy and having a...
Of course it is, Ian, and you got boys as well, haven't you?
Yeah, but when they're old enough to write, they can write them themselves.
You sit down, take the effort and the time to sit down and do it with them. You'll love it.
I won't love it. I'd rather...
You will love it. You're such a misery.
I'm not... Listen, my little boy was at his grandma's, his yaya's yesterday, and I didn't get to see him. He came back about 7 o'clock, quite late, and he was a bit sleepy. And he was... I put him to bed, and he was dressed in his clothes, but he had loads of... You know, you get those rollers that you roll up and down your clothes to get the dust off, right? And he had loads of bits of that stuck all over him. I said, what on earth? I nearly gave his name away there. I said, what on earth are you dressed up as? He went, Daddy, I'm Dr. Robot. Dr. Robot. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Isn't that, but they are the most fun, yeah? So how many cards are you going to be sending this year, Mike?
Oh, probably about 50, 60, something like that.
Well, listen, you're a good man for doing it with your boy. Congratulations. Mike?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
There we go. We're starting to say it. It's in on Friday, the 7th of December. I've said 2 Merry Christmases. I was so proud of my boy. Why have you got all this sticky paper all over your clothes? I'm Dr. Robot, Daddy. I am Dr. Robot. You can't come up with a cooler name than that. The imagination of 3, 4, 5-year-olds, it's just... They're bonkers, aren't they? Imagine if you were my age and I came into work one day with bits of paper all stuck to me. Went, morning, everyone. Dr. Robot today. Call me Dr. Robot, please. You would get locked up. But at that age... You're allowed to do it, and that sounds nice. Mike, having a little session with his 10-year-old boy, sitting down and writing cards. But I do kind of think, all right, at 10, get him to write his own cards. I'm sure, unless there's a problem, I'm sure he can sit down and write his own cards. I did like cards when I was at school. Do you remember at school they would have sort of the beginning of December, a big red postbox would appear. In like the school, what do they call it? School hall or reception. And you would write your cards and you would post them, and then after sort of lunchtime or something, the cards would get dished out and passed around, and you would see who got what. I enjoyed that. 08459 455 555. Is Travel going to join us this morning, or shall we skip on to them and go to the news? I'll tell you what's happening. Basically, the roads are all a little bit skewy. Some of them will be fine. Oh, are you going to do Travel? Oh, this is exciting. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, with the Travel, it's my producer, Laura.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks Travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
You go, girl.
OK, I'm off. There's queuing traffic due to an accident now on the hard shoulder of the M25.
Laura, sorry, could you actually speak into the microphone so they can hear you?
I am speaking into the microphone.
We can't hear you, it's a bit quiet.
I'm speaking into the microphone. There's queuing traffic due to an accident on the hard shoulder on the M25 anti-clockwise. If there's something that we're not talking about, though, do give us a ring and update us on 08459 455 555. Your next travel news is in around 15 minutes.
Hey, well done, Laura.
Thanks.
And it was nice to hear your posh voice.
Thanks, I put my posh voice on.
That was good. Excellent stuff. Thank you. Right. Turn my light down now. It's 7:31, a bit later than usual. Let's go and get the latest news and sport now with Catherine Boyle.
And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. Anything in the bin?
I haven't put anything in the bin this morning.
Oh, no.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Don't worry, I'm ready now.
Oh.
Hello? Kath?
Hello?
Have you got anything, or shall I...
This shows how long this has been in here. A lottery winner has until 11 o'clock tonight to claim a £64 million prize. Save paper, kids.
Thank you.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is BBC Three Counties Radio.
I do like the news bin. Sorry, I wasn't ready. I got the wrong thing up on my computer to play. I do like the news bin, but just in case... That is old news. That is old news from the news bin. Coming up in the next half hour of the show. Yesterday, there was an amazing call to the JVS show from Tony from Milton Keynes. He's threatening to kill himself because he can't afford to live on his pension. We'll play you some of that call later on and speak to the Samaritans about whether they've had similar calls. And guess what? You, the taxpayer, you're going to face a big bill over the botched West Coast rail franchise process. Virgin is going to run the services through Watford and Milton Keynes for the next 2 years. Well, reporter Justin Dealey is on his way to Milton Keynes to find out how commuters feel about it. Now, it's a sad fact that 1 in 5 pensioners are living in poverty. But how bad do things have to get before people take drastic measures to solve the problem? Since 2007, suicide rates for men aged 45 to 74 have been increasing, and now they're the highest they've ever been. Yesterday, Tony spoke to Jonathan Vernon-Smith.
I'm hearing, if you like, this dissemination of language against pensioners from all authorities. When I spoke to my pension department asking why it was so low, they said, you should be grateful you've been granted it. I said, granted a pension? I've earned it. I paid in for 45 years. And then I heard in the House of Commons, because I watch the Parliament channel now and again, and there was a lady, I can't remember her name, Lady so-and-so, who stood up and made a speech saying that the problem with this country has got to be dealt with, especially the elderly, who are draining society with their pensions. You try living on food. Pinot Grigio, I can't afford a bottle of Ribena. What I'm going to do is I've drafted a letter. It's going to go to the Prime Minister and all other interested and relevant media that I shall be enacting my self-determination.
What do you mean, you will be enacting your self-determination?
I will be taking my life.
That was a call yesterday from Tony to Jonathan Vernon-Smith. Well, Claire Wiley is from the Samaritans and co-author of the report Men and Suicide, Why It's a Social Issue. Morning, Claire.
Good morning.
You just heard some of Tony's call there. In the Samaritans, do you get many calls like that from older people?
So in terms of Samaritans call information, because the service is anonymous and confidential, we don't have specific details about, for example, demographics.
No.
But what we do know is that since the recession, the calls to Samaritans about financial concerns have increased. So they now, around 1 in 6 calls are about financial worries. And we do also know that socioeconomic conditions do play a significant role in suicide. So, for example, in terms of the report we did around men and suicide, men living in the most deprived conditions and from the lowest socioeconomic group are up to 10 times more likely to die by suicide than those from the most living in the most affluent conditions and from the most advantaged socioeconomic groups. So that's a huge inequality and risk, which means really an equity. That in our society, those who are, in the poorest conditions are at highest risk of suicide.
For some reason, I've probably got this completely wrong. I've always thought of suicide as kind of a younger sort of man's thing, but it's on the increase, isn't it, between men aged 45 and 74? It's the highest it's ever been. Why is that? Is it purely the economic factors?
Well, actually, I mean, the common perception is that it's an issue among young people, but in fact, the rates among middle-aged men have actually been high for a considerable period of time, for 40 years, and the rates among young men have now come down. But in terms of the research we did, what we looked at is this particular group of men who are in midlife now, and particularly people from lower socioeconomic positions. And really what we saw is they're experiencing a kind of perfect storm, if you can put it that way. So these are men who have grown up with a particular idea of what it is to be a man, that they will go out to work, they'll have a job for life, They'll be respected by a wife. They'll have a family. And in fact, now they've reached midlife, a lot of those things that they thought they would have, they just don't. So we've seen the erosion of traditional male industries, and that means men have lost both a source of employment, which is very, very important to the male role, and they're in economic and financial difficulties and struggling to provide for a family. So they're both unable to fulfill their role as men, as breadwinners, and also as providers within the family. They also, in terms of the kind of patterns of relationships, men in midlife still today tend to be very dependent on having a female partner as what you call a kind of emotional conduit, so someone who will connect them socially, who will look after them emotionally, who will kind of help them to identify their own emotions, encourage them to seek help. But in fact, we've seen significant social changes so that in fact men are far less likely to be in a single relationship throughout the course of their life. They're more likely to move in and out of relationships, and so less likely to have a female partner to depend on.
Is there anything that can be done, Claire?
Well, absolutely. I think, so Samaritans, we work with governments across the country, and we would want to see both suicide prevention strategies that look at some of the, at mental health and resilience and things like that. But we also do think it's important that we address some of the underlying causes, so making sure that, in fact, we've got a more equal society, that we've got a decent welfare state, that when people so that people do have, conditions that mean it's worthwhile to live.
Claire Wiley from the Samaritans, thank you very much indeed. David Prever is in for JVS today. He's having a jolly somewhere. And David's going to be catching up with Tony in Milton Keynes after 10, and he'll be asking, do you know what it's like to live on the bare minimum? If you want to start getting in touch with them, you can do. jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. Peter is in Walmer Green. Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Are you living on a pension?
Absolutely, yes.
And how are you finding it? Are you struggling?
Well, yes. I mean, if you look at rents, council tax and support charge, because I'm in a sheltered housing scheme.
Right.
That is £6,750 a year.
Mm.
Now, the basic old age pension is £107. Now you work it out. You don't have to be a mathematician to work that out. It's self-evident, really. Now, all these people, these other young people now who are on minimum rate, are you going to be moaning that you're supporting them? I have worked 49 years.
Yeah.
I've supported people buying their own houses. I've been a council tenant for 40 odd years. I've paid for 40 odd years. I've bought and paid for the places I've lived in many times over. People have had, when they've been buying their own houses, they've had tax relief, they've had all sorts of things. And even today...
Do you get tax relief for buying a house?
They used to have lots of tax relief.
I don't think you do now.
Eh?
I'm not sure you do now.
Well, maybe they don't, but they're getting very low rates anyway. Now, rents have been soaring year on year.
Yeah.
£103 a week, my rents. It's not free social housing at all. I don't know of any free social housing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there's a very few amount of people that are on the anywhere near 26,000, and that's only because they've been placed in expensive properties.
Peter, can I play devil's advocate? Would you mind?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now this isn't necessarily my view, but I'm just always bearing in mind what some of my listeners might be shouting at the radio.
Absolutely, and I'll shout back.
Okay,
yeah?
I bet you will. That's why I knew I could do this with you. It's not. Okay, it's not my fault or my problem that you chose to rent all your life and didn't decide to get a mortgage and buy a house.
And it's not my fault that you actually purchased.
No.
So the profit on the purchase,
yeah,
that could be taxed.
Well, I have to. When I buy a house, I have to pay stamp duty, which is a massive tax.
Yeah, but hold on. By the time you come to the life of your mortgage,
yeah,
you've still got the money.
Yeah.
In most.
Well, that's it, and that's a decision that again I'm taking on the role of someone. That's
but
a decision.
We're not all in that position. I mean, I had a wife.
Yeah.
I was married for 55 years, but I had a wife who was suicidal.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, please don't buy it." Even when the council properties were going very, very cheaply, it would worry me too much. Now, what do you do in those instances?
Well, you're right. That's a tough
Well, because there's a lot of people, you don't know the circumstances of a lot of people. Now, you get the baying mobs saying, "Oh, we subsidise them." They've never subsidised them in their life. They've never subsidised these social tenants in their life because, first of all, for many, many, many years, rent rebates have always come out of the housing revenue account.
Peter, listen, we've got to end it there. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking that question in the spirit in which it was intended. Peter and Wilma Green there. Sorry, while the weather was going on, I was realising that if you fold the front page of The Guardian and put it over the top of The Times, you get Kate Middleton with a tiny head and a big body. Sorry. Jonathan's off on a jolly today, so David Prever shall be filling in for him, which is always a cracking listen. Now, you, the taxpayer, you listening to this nonsense, you're going to face a significant bill over the botched West Coast rail franchise process. That's according to a report from the National Audit Office. They say staff and advisor costs, legal costs, and money for the 2 reviews set up by the government following abandonment of the West Coast bidding amounted to about just under £9 million. Virgin Trains will continue to run the service, which runs through Milton Keynes and Watford for almost 2 years. Well, joining us now is George Muir, the former Director General of the Association of Train Operating Companies. George, good morning. Very quickly, if you could, just remind us why these companies have to bid again.
The franchise for the West Coast Main Line, the normal one, came to an end, or was coming to an end after a long period, 15 years. Virgin was run it. The franchise put out to tender. 4 people bid for it. There were 2 close people nearly winning, and it was awarded to First Group. It was then discovered that the calculations that allowed it to be awarded to First Group were wrong, and the government cancelled the competition a couple of months ago.
Why has this been such a disaster?
A new government policy brought in 2 years ago by the new Conservative government for 15-year fixed-price contracts was a change, and it is very difficult, actually I think impossible, for people to bid fixed price for 15 years because you can't foresee it. But they persevered with this, and coupled with that were some changes, and very incompetent changes, of organisation within the Department for Transport, which meant that almost every administrative thing that could go wrong did go wrong. The sums were wrong, the people who were doing the jobs changed, jobs that should have been done in one place were split and done in different places. It was a shambles, and it went on for 2 years.
Virgin has been given 2 years extra to run the service. What happens after that?
Oh, it will be, well, during that 2 years, starting very soon, I think, there'll be a new competition for a long-term franchise.
And I'm paying the bill for all this, £9 million.
Yeah, well, that's just the beginning.
Oh,
Fred.
Really? Sorry? There's more to come?
Well, because the bidders will be compensated. Well, there's another 40 million on top.
A mere 40 million on top of that 9 million. So we're looking at 50 million quid.
Yeah, leave it. Yeah, sure.
Let's round it up at least. Oh God, it gets worse.
It's certainly 50.
Right. And the taxpayers are paying for this.
Oh yeah.
What a mess. Sure. George, listen, thank you very much for that. That's George Muir, former Director General, the Association of Train Operating Companies. 50 million quid, at least. Wow. Well, Justin Dealey is he's our train correspondent. You've got a train set in your loft.
Yes, I have. It's lovely.
It's very nice.
Yes.
I know. I've seen it.
Yes.
And you're out at Milton Keynes railway station this morning, are you?
I am indeed. Yes. A Virgin train to Manchester left all of about 2 minutes ago. I came here when the decision was made. People were absolutely furious because they had used the service for quite some time. They were very, very happy with that. Well, before that train left a moment ago, I spoke to passengers about the reaction to
the fact that Virgin, of course, will have that service for another 23 months. Richard, first of all, it's absolutely freezing. You've got your coffee, you've done the right thing there. Where are you travelling to today?
I'm travelling to Wilmslow in Cheshire today.
Now, over the last 4 weeks, you've used Virgin trains twice a week. How have you found the service?
Service has been fantastic, actually. Really, the staff are really good. I also actually use First Capital a couple of times over the last 4 weeks as well. Service there is a lot worse.
So you're quite happy then, for the next 23 months at least, you'll be using Virgin trains. You're really happy with that, aren't you?
I'm really happy, because I can compare the two different services, actually, and Virgin is much better than First Group from a personal perspective, so it's really good news for me.
And this idea of millions of pounds worth of our money, effectively, taxpayers' money, to sort this fiasco out, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I know. I mean, why couldn't they get it right first time? That's what I don't understand. If they paid a little bit more money to get it right first time, we'd have saved an absolute fortune. But
heads will roll, I'm sure.
Well, they already have, haven't they? And a few more will go as well, yeah. I'm sure they will.
Have a safe journey today. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Cheers.
So there's one happy customer. It's going to go up to this man outside now. This is Trevor George. Trevor, where are you travelling to today?
I'm going to Manchester.
How often do you use Virgin trains?
Oh, about once a month, I should think.
Okay, so fairly regular for business.
Yes.
How do you find the service?
Yeah, it's a brilliant service. I think it's, generally on time, trains comfortable, all works very well.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because when I came here, when the decision was made, everyone was very, very unhappy. People were saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. No, I can't see any reason why we need to change, basically. It provides, Virgin provide a very good service, and I'd be happy to stick with it.
Because this line's very important to you, even though you're using it once a month, which is, fairly regular. If that line is not on time, your business deals could cost you a lot of money.
Yes, that's right. It's important to know that you're going to get there when you need to, basically.
Okay, and just lastly, your reaction on the millions of pounds this is going to cost you and I as taxpayers to sort this mess out?
Well, it's a disaster, isn't it, really? How on earth could the government get to the stage where they mess it up so badly? Something really needs to be done to look into that.
So Richard Branson is a very calm man, and he's very, very cool, and he lost it when this decision was made, but, of course, as it turns out, he lost it for a very good reason.
Well, absolutely, yeah, quite understandably. I think, he's put a lot of money into, investing in this line and making sure that he gets a good return on that. Why shouldn't he?
I think your train is on time, thank goodness for that. How cold is it this morning?
It's pretty cold here, yeah.
Have a safe journey, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you.
So what a mess. There you go, Ian. Again, a platform full of happy passengers, exactly the same when I came here early this year, all asking the question, why has this happened? Of course, we as the taxpayers, we're the ones who are going to be paying for this
You're
mess.
paying £50 million, Justin.
I know, it's a lot of money, isn't it? I'll have to get that out of the loft.
Yeah, exactly. You have to start selling some of your trains.
Yes.
Justin, thank you very much. Are you off to anywhere else now?
Well, I think I might stick in Milton Keynes and get some more reaction on Christmas cards. Do people love sending them? Or, every year, are they a bit like us two, where we just don't send them because, well, we can't really be bothered. But we are busy people, to be fair, Ian,
It used to... very busy. So busy I managed to watch 2 films yesterday afternoon. But it's that... I had that sense of dread when my mum would buy, big boxes of Christmas cards, and I'd have to write them to my aunts and my grandparents and all, oh, for goodness
Come on, the key is to make it personal. In saying that, actually, I got a wonderful Christmas card yesterday from my future mother-in-law, and what she did, she really thought about this. She went out and she got me a Christmas card that was a vinyl record.
Oh,
So I opened it up, and it was a vinyl record, and I thought, wow, you've actually put some thought into this for once. I'm joking. Actually put some thought into it, because I love my music, and there is a vinyl record. That's the way to do it. Don't go and buy 200 cards that are all the same. How can that be personal?
That's much better, Justin Dealey. Thank you very much indeed. Well, April in Luton is on the line talking about Christmas cards. April, are you going to be sending loads of them?
Yes.
Why?
Why, because I like them. I like spending the time making them. I make all my cards.
Oh, you make them? Well, how many are you going to be making?
I made this year about 150. I've sent about 115. I hand-painted about 80 of them.
Can I tell you something, April?
Yeah.
Life is way too short to hand-make 100.
How old is your son?
He's 3. He'll be 3 in January.
Mine's 4 in February.
Yeah.
And he loves helping me make them. The glitter goes everywhere.
150
the glue goes everywhere.
with a 4-year-old?
Yeah, but he loves it. Do you know what? He loves it.
Really?
And the reason why my list has increased this year is because he says, this one can be for William, this one can be for Nana. So he wants to send his own.
Oh, no.
He's loving it.
Okay, so but listen, there is a charm in receiving the handmade card from a child. Of course there is. That's wonderful and fantastic and beautiful. But really, April, just give him some glue, a bit of paper, and let him make his own. And when he's, there's a pile of stuff.
Because I enjoy making. I make all my birthday cards, Christmas cards, all cards I make.
You're a bit artsy.
I am, and even my sister now, because she's very arty, she does painting, so she's hand painted, she's done watercolours.
Okay.
So she's all painted hers as well this year.
Wow. You sound very calm about the whole thing. Are you done for Christmas? Have you got everything sorted?
I haven't decorated the house, so I haven't put the tree up. So
this weekend, do it this weekend.
Yeah, probably.
Christmas.
I don't know whether I can convince my husband to go for a real tree or whether we put up the...
Real tree! Real tree! You've got to do... Listen, I had a fake tree for ever when I was growing up as a kid, and then when I was old enough, I bought my first real tree. It makes such a difference, April. Do it!
I know, I used to have real trees, but here's the surreal discussion we had the other day.
Yeah.
I was in the living room. I said, so, Sam, James, they're my husband and son, what shall we move? Shall we move your toys, Sam, or shall we move Dad's guitars? And Sam went... We're moving Daddy's guitars.
Of course you're moving the guitars. In the next hour, real tree or Christmas tree? It's got to be a real one, hasn't it? Well, real trees or Christmas trees? Let the debate rage. 08459 455 555. We had a horrible fake tree for forever when I was a kid. I remember moving out and going, hey, I can buy a real Christmas tree. I don't know they're a mess and getting rid of them is a pain, but... they're better, aren't they? We'll find out more after the news and sport with Catherine Boyle.
BBC Three Counties Radio, first for news. Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
That's what I meant to play, of course. Yeah. It's Friday. Come on, give me a break. So far we've established I'm allowed to be a little bit rubbish on Mondays, not great on Tuesdays, and Fridays can be a little bit sloppy as well. Lots coming up in the last hour of the show, including find out why a St Albans man is unhappy that he can't be moved from a one-bedroom council house to a two-bedroom property. If you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR, you can have a look at the pictures of the house and probably have a chat with him as well, as he's posting up there at the moment. How much sympathy do you have with him? It's mixed on there. It's mixed, I think it's fair to say. Now, first-class stamp costs 60 pence. How many Christmas cards are you planning to send this year? Guess what? I ain't sending none. I'm not a Scrooge. I love Christmas. I love it. Such a big fan of Christmas. The best Christmas dinner of the year. There are rumours. There's always the politics of Christmas. Who are we going to go with? Which day do we spend Christmas Day? I think it's sorted out. With nary an argument nor a tear. So I love Christmas. But the cards... Well, we just spoke to April in Luton. Told me a couple of minutes ago she's handmade 150. Oh, dear. And it's Friday. And as you know, regular listeners, on Friday, we kind of like to end the week on a bit of a high note. We've got some music coming up. We've got a brass band coming in. I'm well excited. I love a brass band. Very excited. If you want to get in touch, 81333, start your text 3CR, or give us a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
This story has really divided people. If I'm honest, I don't quite know where I sit on it. I've said that a couple of times this week. Normally, I get a story, I look at it, I go, right, that's what I think. My mind is... I'm not quite sure what I think here. I can see arguments for and against. Well, you may live in a property that you feel is too small for you and your family, but at what point should the council provide you with a bigger one? Well, the rules surrounding the way in which people are allocated council houses in St Albans has changed this week. One new policy makes it more difficult for tenants to get bigger properties. Anthony Wildman lives with his wife Abby and their 5-month-old baby in a one-bedroom house in the city. They've been told they're now not eligible for a bigger property until their child is 2 years old. They say the house is so small, it's causing damp and making the baby ill. Anthony is now suffering depression and they feel their marriage is being strained. Well, our reporter Victoria Cook went to meet them and have a look at their house.
At the moment we're standing in our front room, very small front room. I think it's about 13 foot by 13 foot approximately. And you go through to an open plan kitchen, which is probably about 10 foot by 6 foot. It's very cold at night. It's very cold all the time. So you have to leave the windows open to stop condensation from the damp. Yeah,
I can see coming in here that the back of your front door is actually soaking wet. I've only been here a few minutes. I can feel my skin feeling damp and my clothes feeling damp. I've only been here a few minutes. Is that something you've become used to, or can you notice it?
Well, we notice it all the time, and it's. I don't think you ever get used to it. You also got a hell of a lot of condensation on the windows as well, constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And the advice from St Albans Council is to open windows, which isn't really good when it's minus.
Actually, as you've pulled the net curtains back, they've now stuck to the windows. But why is that happening? Because from first impressions, the house looks quite modern and new.
Yeah, I think when we had someone out before, she said it is due to 3 people living in the property, rather than, this isn't made for 3 people. There's 3 people breathing in and out all the time. The washing, I have to do it. I've got nowhere to dry it, so that's obviously a lot of it, the cause of it as well.
The house itself seems to be having an impact on the baby's health.
Yeah, with her just now still having a cold. Obviously talking about asthma's not good at this age already. She's only she's not 5 months yet, and they're already mentioning the word, which is upsetting to us. So yeah, I think it is having an effect on her health already.
Can we go and have a look upstairs and see what the rest of the house is like?
Certainly.
So to get upstairs, we're having to move things out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a constant thing. It's not just put up there for show.
It's a buggy.
They're all things you need, there's a high chair and
toys.
She can sit in and toys.
Yeah.
As you walk up the stairs, you might have noticed when she does start crawling, there's actually nowhere to put a safety gate.
It's an open plan sort of style, isn't it? So the staircase is open on the left-hand side. Yeah. Right, let's continue up the stairs.
Okay.
So it looks aesthetically quite a lovely house.
It is.
Seems really new and modern and fresh.
I think it was built in the 80s, so it is quite new. It is just the space and the conditions that are starting to show around the edges.
So we're in the bathroom now.
Yeah, this is in the bathroom.
You're showing me the main window.
Yeah, and obviously you can see there's mould there, in the corner there, and this is like a day and a half old.
So this has actually been cleaned.
This was cleaned the day before yesterday.
Actually, as I look up at the ceiling, there's water droplets coming from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And is that because someone's just had a shower in here?
I had a bath at 2 o'clock.
And it's 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and there's still the window is open, the jar. We can't leave it much more than that because the house will be freezing.
And I suppose this moisture from here is going into the house as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You can feel the dampness even more up here, can't you?
Yeah.
So this is your room.
This is the bedroom.
Oh, the bedroom.
Yeah, the bedroom.
So average size, not a bad size at all for a double bedroom.
Yeah.
I'd say most people would be kind of happy with that.
But
definitely. There's a large corner being taken up by the cot.
Yeah. And again, same thing in here.
More black mould in the corner of your bedroom.
And it runs all along the top of that wall and potentially above her cot. It's just not enough living space, and it's all created by 3 people breathing and living here. I'm not being funny. Mia's sleeping there. Do you know what I mean? From a married couple's point of view, it can go on for so long, but it does have an effect on your married life.
Are you finding it's having an effect?
I think it's having an effect on both of us. I can't talk for Abby, but it certainly had an effect on me, just by having sort of the confined space all the time. You're living on top of each other, so you bicker, and we never used to. It's just getting ridiculous.
So, reporter Victoria Cook there. If you want to go and have a look at some pictures of Anthony and Abby's house, the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. It's up there. Anthony's posting up there as well. Play nice. Be honest, but play nice. That's all I'm going to say. Well, Claire Asprey is the East of England lead manager from the National Housing Federation. Morning, Claire.
Good morning.
Anthony and his family feel they need more room. How common is this picture across the East of England and the country?
Well, I think it's no secret that we're in the midst of a housing crisis in this country. We haven't been building enough homes to keep pace with the number of households for year upon year upon year. So this isn't at all uncommon, and we do expect homelessness, overcrowding and housing problems like this to continue to rise, I'm afraid.
Why are the rules getting stricter?
Well, I mean, local authorities are in a really difficult position. If you look at our recently published Home Truths publication, which has got statistics for every area in the region, you look at St Albans, they've got 5,000 people, over 5,000 people on a waiting list. And there are only a total of about 900 lettings a year. Well, you can see that there's a huge amount of competition. And, at the end of the day, there aren't enough homes to go around. And at some point, a local authority's got to make a decision about the rules that they make. And no one wants to be in that position. It's not an easy decision to make at all.
There are loads of new houses in developments in the three counties, particularly in Beds, that are unoccupied. Why aren't they being used? Is it because they're too expensive?
Well, I mean, housing is expensive, and that's a real problem. We work with housing associations that are bringing forward new affordable homes through development all the time. They're keen to deliver the homes that we need, and but then we know there still aren't enough. At the end of the day, we haven't been building enough homes.
But what about the empty ones? What about the empty ones? Shouldn't you put pressure on local authorities to make best use of those?
Well, local authorities do have powers to deal with empty properties, but actually, I mean, yes, we can do something about empty homes, but actually, even if we filled every single empty, we'd still have a massive housing shortage.
Of course you would, but it's a start, isn't it?
Absolutely, but obviously it's quite a long process, particularly in terms of long-standing empty homes.
Yeah.
And overall, there's a broader issue here about if it's new build homes. One of the problems that we've got at the moment is a big constriction in the mortgage market. So, people are finding it harder to get mortgages, so they are struggling to buy those homes. First-time buyers are finding it very hard to get in on the ladder, and that's putting pressure across a number of different areas. So, more and more people are renting for longer. Private rents are going up. The competition is higher, and people who don't have the same amount of money. And bear in mind, this is not just people out of work. This is 10,000 new working households every month in this country are getting housing benefit to help with the cost of their rent, even though that they're in work. So this is about people on medium and low salaries, and people who are not able to find a job are really struggling.
Claire, what do you think about the following situation? There's an elderly couple. Let's say they're in their 80s. They've lived in a house for 40 years. It's a big 3-bedroom house. All the kids, everyone's moved out. Should they be moved into a smaller property to free up the bigger houses for younger families?
Well, I mean, most local authorities and most landlords have schemes to help people who want to downsize, and we will see more of that because of...
What if they don't want to downsize? Issues. What if they want to stay there because they've been there for 40 years?
They have the right to.
Right.
That's their choice. But what we'll see come April, when the bedroom tax is introduced for social housing, there will be more people looking to downsize. And, for people who are overcrowded in small accommodation, that's going to potentially be an opportunity to do a swap, for example, and have those kind of options. But at the end of the day, we do have a mismatch. But overall, we have not enough smaller homes available for the people who do want to downsize.
It's quite a bleak future, isn't it, for people?
Well, I think people are coming to recognise the scale of the problem, and we are seeing housing going up the political agenda, and we've had an announcement just this week around new homes coming forward. And I think the government has realised that it's not just about addressing the housing crisis; it actually can kickstart the economy. We've been winning that argument, but it doesn't happen overnight. It has a lead in time, and we do hope to see more homes coming through.
Claire, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Claire Asprey, East of England lead manager from the National Housing Federation. We asked St Albans City and District Council to come on. They sent us a statement. Great demand for social housing in the district, which exceeds supply. Families with only one child aged under 2 years are now only eligible for 1-bedroom accommodation. Well, if you go to the Facebook page and have a little look, facebook.com/BBC3CR, you can have a look at the housing. Well, here we go. This is always a pleasure, and it takes me back to about 8 years ago. David Prever is in the house.
Hello there.
I say it with my tongue in my cheek. I salute the Prevers.
I used to say that a lot, didn't you?
We used to work together years and years ago, and it's always nice to bump into you.
And nice to see you too.
You're looking very kind of fit. You're looking younger.
Fat, you mean? Did you mean fat? And that was it was a verbal typo.
You're looking younger than when I used to see you regularly years ago. Yeah, you're
joking.
You're looking buff.
What, 2 kids later? You're kidding me? Really? Never.
How old are your kids now?
They're 4 and 2.
4 and 2. That's fun. Christmas is going to be fun, huh? It's going to be noisy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's noisy constantly. It was noisy at 4 a.m. this morning.
Really?
Actually, at 3 a.m. as well, it was noisy this morning.
Yeah. I snuck out. I've got 3 and 1, and I snuck out of I snuck downstairs at 4:10 this morning, and as I closed the stair gate, I heard the baby go, and I thought, oh God, I'm going to...
The truth is, you only took this gig because you didn't want to be around during... It's easier to come in here and do a breakfast show than be at home during all of that, isn't it?
Getting them dressed. Getting my 3-year-old to put pants and trousers on.
Much harder than doing a breakfast show.
What's coming up on... You're filling in for Jonathan today. What have you got?
Yes, on the big... to be honest, I came in yesterday to watch how it was done, and I should have picked up a lot of tips and tricks, but we just gossiped for 3 hours. I got not a clue. The first idea.
That is how they do it.
But today on the big phone-in from... I'm trying not to speak like John, the JVS show. It's hard not to, isn't it? On the big phone in today, as you've been discussing all morning, should council tenants really be grateful for what they're given? You've been talking about Anthony and Abby in St Albans this morning. Anthony saying that because his daughter's 2 years old, she's still sleeping in their bedroom and they deserve a bigger home.
Well, she's 5 months, but they've got to be there
until she's 2 years old. Beg your pardon. Yeah, we're going to ask: should you be grateful with what you're given if you're given a council property? Are you currently living in a property that's far too small for your needs? Kids sharing rooms, everybody living on top of each other, but you're happy at least that you've got a home? Or does the council, the state, if you like, have a responsibility to house you whatever your needs might be? When both my kids were born, we were living in a tiny basement flat in Maida Vale, which was very nice, but a central London property. Yeah. And I was sleeping in the lounge. We had my wife was in the hallway. You just live on top of each other, don't you?
Of course you
when
do,
you've got children, everyone sleeps everywhere.
Yeah,
I think.
And there is buggies are massive, and high chairs are massive, and toys get everywhere. You know, that's.
And also, children do. I've got many friends whose kids are still. I think Nick Coffer's daughter, I'm right in saying, or son, was still in their bedroom until he or she was 2 years old. It just it happens, doesn't it?
It does. And you're doing breakfast tomorrow as well, are you?
I believe so. Yes.
Good work. Nice to see you back.
Thank you very much.
See you later on. Ta-ta.
Thank you.
Across beds, Hearts and Bucks on BBC Three Counties Radio.
David Prever filling in for Jonathan Vernon Smith. If you want to listen to that, of course you do, it's on at 9 o'clock, and you can get in touch now with David by emailing jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. The reason I'm stammering slightly there is because I've been sent a message from Catherine Boyle saying, the brass band are here, they're playing, and it's snowing. How cool is that? Come on. It's Christmas. I know. I do have a childish excitement about that. Luton and Hemel, it's snowing. We've got some texts on the housing situation we were talking about. I do feel for the chap in the one-bedroom house, but he's just got to get on with it. My wife and I lived in a one-bedroom flat with our daughter until she was 7. You do what needs must. Pick up a sofa bed for extra privacy when you're feeling amorous. As he said, he was made redundant, so the situation can't be helped. But as I said, he has to get on with it. Incidentally, the difference between private rent and social rent price is not too different nowadays. However, you have more security on social housing. Matt from Hitchin. There's an anonymous here. We own our... But put your names on when you send a text. It's nice. We own our house and can't afford a bigger house. We live in a 2-bed maisonette with two teenagers. We can't rely on the council to rehouse us. Esther says, council housing should only be given to personal persons where their parents or the person has paid into the system. On the email, the Gemma from St Albans, the council are wrong in new policies, especially when they've already let people with young children bid on a bigger property one day and take it away the next. How bad is that? Christmas cards. What is the point, really? I mean, come on. They're expensive. Does anyone... when you get a Christmas card, does anyone have a reaction, anything more than, Stephen Mark sent us a card? Oh, right. Oh, yeah. No one gets excited by a card. And sending them is just such an annoyance, isn't it, Sheila in St Albans?
Oh, is that Mr. Scrooge I'm speaking to?
Bah, humbug to you, my dear. How very dare you. Listen, Sheila, I love Christmas. I'm so excited. I'm going to be decorating the Christmas tree today. We've got advent calendars. I love it. But Christmas cards, Sheila, really?
Right, I think Christmas cards are not just Christmas cards. They are a way of making contact with other people that you don't necessarily have contact throughout the year. It's a way of saying, hi, I'm alive. It's a way of saying, I hope you're alive if you receive this. It's just a way of keeping in touch because people don't keep in touch anymore. You know, text, people use their phones, they don't, you know, the kids just sort of... Their families, they don't know families, they don't know cousins, they don't know... I mean, perhaps you think of your children.
Yes.
Isn't it really nice when some parents, not all of them have the time, can sit down and do some cards with their kids? Doesn't it make something between the children and the parents, contact?
I make things with my kids anyway. We do pictures and we make robots and we do, do silly things like that.
Making those old paper chains you used to stick together with colours.
Oh, no. Oh, you can buy paper chains.
I know you can.
Already made.
I know you can buy the slips of paper to stick together.
I remember that at school when we were about 7 years old, right? The teachers would get us to lick those, because you had to lick them. Lick the strips of paper and make the paper chains. At the time we thought, whoa, this is the coolest thing ever. Looking back, the teachers were just shutting us up for 2 hours and probably nipping out for a fag.
No. It's nice. And I think if you're not careful, I do have a relative, a young relative who doesn't send cards, and I'm beginning to think to myself, why do I waste the time? But however, when him and the rest of his young family suddenly get engaged, married, have a baby or whatever, and they're going to say, oh, who are our relatives? Who do we know? They won't have any. And maybe I'll think, why do I bother? I don't want, if my only contact with them is a Christmas card here and there, and they don't bother even with a birthday card, as far as I'm concerned, they're out of my will. They're not going to get a penny now.
Sheila?
Yes?
Can I be in your will?
No, because you don't send Christmas cards, because you're a Scroogey person.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Is it worth getting in your will? Have you got a lot of cash?
Well, it's either that or the cat's home, isn't it?
Sheila in St Albans, thank you very much indeed. Wow, she's going to cut people out of her will because they don't send cards? Wowzers, I can't wait I want to be really rich and really old, right? I know, bear with me. Because then you can say, or at least have the illusion of being rich, then you can say to the younger people in the family, well, if you don't do that, you're out of the will. And I will play that card. Now, on a completely different tack, a road in Watford is the most violent in the country. That's according to police statistics. The mayor says that's unfair and has been campaigning for 2 years to get the way stats are collected changed. Albert Road South is deemed the most violent street, even worse than places like Manchester, Nottingham and Liverpool. The problem is that a nightclub is also on the street, and that skews the figures. Well, earlier on, we spoke to Chief Inspector for Watford, Nick Caveney. He explains how it works.
It's obviously a national system, and I think it's been set up primarily to reflect or allow residents to look into their areas and understand what's going on in their areas. In this particular case, obviously, that creates a bit of a skew, and indeed we're working with some of the national compilers to try and sort that out.
Well, Don Adams has lived on the north of the road for almost 40 years. He's from the Central Town Residents Association, or what I guess we used to call the Neighbourhood Watch Group. After years of his property being vandalised by late-night revellers, he wanted to put a stop to it all. So he, along with the help of his group, have put measures in place to make the area safer. Morning, Don. What have you done as a group?
Well, as a group, we decided we had to do something because although the police were in their efforts trying to control the situation, there was because the present club there now has changed names at least 3 times. It used to be Bailey's, then it was Kudos, and now it's Oceana. Subsequently, as I say, we used to get all sorts of characters coming into the area, and of course we are just local to the club, and everybody parked in our road and so forth anyway. And of course we had the Watford Junction station at the top of the road, which meant people were going through about 3-4 in the morning, and of course they had no respect for the residents whatsoever. And we were getting our properties damaged, our cars damaged, and things like that. Because the costs, we had to bear all the costs.
Of course you did.
There was no money coming in from the council or anything like that.
So what did you do as a group, Don, to try and stop this?
Well, we went to the police to start with, and the police said, well, the best thing you can do is just form yourselves into a neighbourhood watch group. And we subsequently said, well, that's a good idea, I suppose. And we had about 88 to 90 households then at that time, which was about 1997 when we first started the neighbourhood watch group in the area. And we've been going for about 15 years now.
But a neighbourhood watch, when you get stickers and things like that, but what influence can you have on what goes on? Do you go out there and confront these people?
Well, no. We were advised not to do so.
Sensible.
But, I mean, we more or less got sufficient police support after we threatened to form ourselves into a vigilante group.
Oh, dear.
Not to say that we wanted to,
no.
But it was a case of saying, well, look, if you can't do it, then you'll have to leave it to us to do something about it.
Were you prepared to kind of do like a Death Wish and, the movie and get a little vigilante group up and going?
Well, it was more in a case of damn annoyance because,
right.
I was having to pay out for for my car being damaged,
of course.
my property being damaged, people defecating in my driveway, people urinating in my... You know, you don't want that. You don't want to live in that.
You do not want to live in that circumstance. Don, listen, thank you very much for coming on. Let's just hope that by drawing some attention to it, we can, in some way, make the situation a little bit better. You do not want to live in that situation. No, you don't. Ooh, dearie me.
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Here till 9 o'clock, then David Prever is in for JVS. Coming up in the last half an hour of the show. No one bothers to send Christmas cards, do they? Waste of time, waste of money. Life is too short. Get chucked in the bin, pointless. I'll be finding out whether etiquette expert Jean Brooks-Smith agrees with me. I'm sure she will. And the Only Brass Band are going to be playing Christmas songs in about 15 minutes' time. They're upstairs. They're doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. A brass band playing that. Man alive. We're living the dream, kids. Honestly, doesn't get any better than this. Doesn't get any better than this in the slightest. Now, I'm not a Scrooge. I have to say this. I love Christmas. I love the rubbish telly. It's the best meal of the year. The best meal of the year. I love presents. I love giving presents. I love seeing my boys opening their presents. I love Christmas trees. I don't love Christmas cards. They are a nuisance. They are expensive. They are a pain. Politics around them. Well, our resident etiquette expert, Jean Brooks-Smith, can let us know if I'm... am I breaking lots of rules of etiquette here, Jean, or am I being sensible?
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Well, strangely enough, I've already had about 12 Christmas cards.
Oh, dear. I feel sorry for you.
And I have bought Christmas cards. I send them every year. But I do buy them for a charity. For example, I do the cancer Christmas cards.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't go to a local shop and just get any cards.
Yes.
So I feel from that point of view, I'm giving something. To be honest with you, Ian, I think it is a worry. I mean, this morning I woke up and thought, I've got to do my Christmas cards. A lot of the cards I get most joy is sending to friends of mine I used to work with, I was at school with, who live abroad. I hate those round-robin letters.
Oh, the round-robin letters, the photocopied ones. No, thank you.
Loathe them. In fact, when they arrive, I bin them.
Yeah.
I have to tell you.
Oh, you're cold.
No, I think it's awful. But I write, handwritten, such and such a thing, has happened in the family. Just about a line or two. Hope you're fine.
So they're all a little bit personalised. It's not to Steve, Merry Christmas, love Jean.
No. No, obviously to my friends that I see all the time, I'll, just say love Jean, etc.
Right.
Great to see you last week or something. But I do still send them. I know they're very expensive, and I think also the stamps are expensive this year, and I think that's going to put people off.
OK, here's an etiquette question, Jean.
Yes.
It's Christmas Eve. I think the postman lives on Christmas Eve. I can't remember. Let's assume he does.
Yep.
It's Christmas Eve. A card comes through from your mate Dave. Mm-hmm. You forgot to send Dave a card. What are you going to do, Jean?
Well, I'm afraid now I just don't suddenly send a card because it looks as if, oh, Lord, it's rather like somebody's given me a present, I've got to give them one. And then I think it goes out of control. I mean, if I genuinely have forgotten, which, I think we all have moments like this.
Yes.
I might send a little New Year card, etc. But I think that you should really only send cards to people that you really want to send them to. You shouldn't really feel, oh, golly, I don't really like her, but she sent me one.
There's a new phenomenon, Jean, and which there are all these websites where you can go online and you can make personalised cards. And I do it for my mum and my wife. I put pictures of the boys on and say, Merry Christmas, Nanny, Merry Christmas, Mum. What do you think about when couples do that? If a couple were to put a picture of themselves on and send that out, is that a bit weird?
I've just had one yesterday from one of my cousin's sons who got married a couple of weeks ago, and there they are in their wedding clothes.
Oh.
I personally... hope they're not listening. I personally don't like that type of thing. I'd rather have a little robin or a fun... I've got some rather nice cards of very snowy scenes of cottages.
It's a bit arrogant, isn't it?
It is, and here's our third child, and I have family members and friends who do it every year, and it drives me insane.
I'm being slightly cruel because I know for a fact that my producer has done this. So I'm being a little bit...
You'll be fired.
I'll be fired, oh, yes.
But I mean, basically, and I think that it's still a nice thing
yes.
to send cards. I also think that people get carried away nowadays with more and more expensive presents. It's the thought.
Yes.
A card or a present, just a thought, and then the person at the other end. For example, especially if you're an older person. I know my mum can't write cards now, but she thoroughly enjoys getting a card.
You're right, yes. Gee, maybe you can help me. On a slight tangent, listen, doing this job at Three Counties, I love it. It's the first time, although I've had to work in an office for an extended period. Never had an office job, okay? And I have been forced, I've been asked very politely, and I've said yes, to be part of this Secret Santa. You know where you pull names out of a hat, and it's like, well, you've got to buy a present for Ollie, or whatever. Is it acceptable, it's between £5 and £10, okay?
Yes.
Is it acceptable to buy, like, £5 worth of Coca-Cola? Would that's because I would like that as a present.
Well, not very Christmassy and romantic.
If I put a bow on it, it's Christmassy, isn't it? What is the etiquette for a Secret Santa? I'm worried I'm going to completely blow it.
No, I mean, just something small. I mean, the trouble is that whoever gets it might be a man or a woman, so, you've got to... I mean, let's put it this way.
Diet Coke for the ladies.
A bottle of wine is a little bit nicer than Diet Coke, let's put it that way.
Okay, well, gee, listen, what do you do for Christmas? Are you at home? Do you go somewhere? Where do you go?
No, we're always at home, actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And are you cooking the Christmas dinner?
Yes, always do.
I'm so excited by Christmas dinner. The best meal of the year.
I like that, but I think a lot of hype happens with Christmas. And I mean, I live in central London, and people are acting as if it's Christmas Day tomorrow.
Yes, I know what you mean. That's tiresome.
And I think that people should just, be a little bit more chilled about it, and not have to buy about 25 presents per person, unless it's your children. Then you can still do, little Santa things.
Yes.
But no, I think it's the thought that counts, whether it's a card or a present.
Jean, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much. Jean Brooke-Smith. She is our show's official etiquette expert. Jane's in Milton Keynes. Good morning, Jane.
Morning.
It says on my... The way radio works, okay, is I have a screen, and next door the producer kind of types up what's coming up next, the name of the guest, the name of the caller, and possibly a little bit about what they're going to talk about. What it says on my screen is, Jane, in Milton Keynes, you'll be horrified at what she's done. I'm scared. What have you done, Jane?
I posted 60 cards yesterday and sent 40 round-robin letters.
Oh, no, Jane! You sound so normal. You sound so sensible, and then you go and commit this heinous crime.
You're a miserable devil.
No, I'm not. I love Christmas, but... So, let's give us a little taster. Did you type up the round-robins?
I did. I typed them up.
So they're all identical?
I printed them all off in red.
Oh,
and
red?
they've got holly on the side.
You can't send a letter in red. Doesn't that mean...
I can. I've done it.
Oh, that means death, doesn't it? Or is it green?
That
One of
was
them.
ridiculous.
What have you... Give us a little synopsis. What have you included in the round robin?
I just sort of said thank you all for you. Well, because I usually get loads of round robin letters.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, instead of writing on it, I'll send one out this year.
Yeah.
Just saying about all my accidents.
Oh, blimey. Have you had an accident-prone 2012?
I have, actually.
What have you done? What have you done, love?
I fell over, hurt my knee.
Oh, dear. The knee is one of the most painful injuries you can sustain.
I know.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling now? You better?
Yeah, I'm a lot better.
Okay, you can get around all right, can you?
Yeah, I can.
Jane, are you anywhere near a window?
Yes.
Can you have a little look at... You're in Milton Keynes, aren't you?
Yes, slushing and snow.
It's snowing, is it?
Yeah.
It's good, though, isn't it? It's good. Just be careful of your knee.
Well, I don't know.
Mind your knee.
Yeah, what you going to get for this Secret Santa?
Oh, I don't know. The thing is, we're going to pull names out of a hat, I guess, next week. So I'll know who I'm buying for.
Right.
And it's between £5 and £10. And I just thought, £5 worth of fizzy pop, because I would genuinely love to get that, or some sweet, box of Maltesers or something.
Right, there are Santa toilet rolls,
Oh, are there?
Yes.
Oh, maybe I could get that.
Santa toilet rolls, Santa, lots of things with Santa on them.
Jane, I will have a look at that. Maybe next week... We'll investigate this further, what I can get for the Secret Santa. It is snowing, apparently, kids. We've had tweets saying it's snowing in Hemel, Leighton Buzzard, Berkhamsted, Wendover, Luton, St Albans, Watford, Albany. Carol is in snowy St Albans. Good morning, Carol.
No, we've just had a cloudburst of rain.
Oh, blimey! Good. So I want to get home. As much as I like Luton, and I don't mind staying here on a weeknight, I'm not staying here for the weekend.
No.
Oh God, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Cough it up, love. Might be a gold watch.
I wish it was.
Yes. What are you sending Christmas cards, Carol?
No, I might send a couple, but no.
Oh, at last, the voice of reason has a feminine touch to it. Okay.
Sunday, it was my friend's daughter's birthday yesterday.
Yes.
Now, don't shout. I know it's wrong, but I wrote her a letter and enclosed £20.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, because if you enclose money in cards, it goes missing.
It goes missing. Yeah, I remember. It doesn't happen with my postman now, but a few years ago, I would Christmas cards and birthday cards would always turn up opened.
Yeah.
Yes. I wonder how that happened.
Well, I sealed it with sellotape, put my name and address on it.
And wrote on the front, there is no money in this card.
Well, no, I didn't. And I sent her a birthday card as well.
Yeah.
I rang her yesterday morning to wish her happy birthday.
Yeah.
Had it arrived?
Had it?
No.
Heck, no, of course not.
And that was Sunday. And it's Powys. I know she lives in Wales, but it's just over the border.
Well, it's the United Kingdom. There's somewhere there's a Welsh postman lighting big fat cigars and chuckling to himself.
Well, you know, I would have sent her a cheque, but you can't spend a cheque.
I know what you mean. I've got a cheque that's been sat in. How long do cheques last for, Carol? Because I've got a cheque.
I think it's ad infinitum.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. I've got one that's 4 months old.
You're fine.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's 90 quid as well. 90 quid from the water board for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, get that in your account quickly.
I know. I just can't be bothered. I could do with 90 quid right now, let me tell you. But it's such a faff going to the bank and paying a cheque in.
Yeah, but I mean, this was only, yes, I toyed with the idea of sending her a 10 for her birthday and a 10 for Christmas. But you can do, I know 10 and 10 is 20, but you can do more with a £20 note than you can with a 10 and 10.
I think you can do the same.
No, not at the same time.
I'm going to end it there, Carol, because you have literally blown my mind with your crazy maths. Maybe I'm missing something very obvious there, or maybe No, you can do the same, can't you? Yes. Coming up, it's Friday. We've got a brass band coming in. What more do you need to know? There's a brass band coming in. Before that, let's get the weather. The snowy weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello. You did it too. You were too soon.
Hello.
You were too soon, but
I'm just so excited.
You're excited about the snow. I know, Elizabeth. Snow away.
I know it's all going terribly according to plan, isn't it? All of this band of rain, sleet, and snow just edging down from the north. We've had plenty of snow reports, mostly across Hertfordshire. It does look like. There we go.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Excellent stuff. Very excited. There is a brass band in the studio where there was not. We shall be talking to them in a second. David has emailed in, cheques are only valid for 6 months. I've got another 2 months of my cheque, then I'll be fine. And Heather from Risborough, cheques last 6 months only. So post it. I worked in the bank. Well, we shall certainly have some of that. Let's have a look at some of these. We'll do the Facebook statements in a little bit. More excitedly than that, we've got a brass band in the studio. We've got the only brass band from Bucks in the studio. We've got lots of you all over the place. Let's shout out your name. Start from this gentleman here.
Kieran. Alex.
Corey.
Chris.
Richard, you're going to be the spokesman. If I can ask you just to come a little bit closer to the microphone for this. Richard, not only are you a brass band, you've come in dressed up all smart as well. You've dressed for the gig. It's very kind.
Of course we did, yes. Yeah. We're only brass. We're a community-based band. We're a charity based, obviously, in Oney.
Yeah.
And as part of our charitable work, we see it's important to encourage music making with young people as well. So anybody under the age of 18 is entitled to come along to the band, and there's no costs for them as well.
Are there many young people playing brass instruments? Because it's all rock and roll and electric guitars these days, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's also important as well to encourage music making. So, with the music services in schools, we work with them as well, and it is really important to encourage that music making, any kind of music making, and if they come to brass bands, the better for us.
Fantastic. I tell you what, I'm going to shut up. We'll chat again in a second. Could you give us a song?
Of course.
Very excited by this. Away in your own time. fantastic. There is something about a brass band that just kind of makes you feel proud. I don't know why, but there's something about it. How many, is this the full band? Are there more of you? How many are there normally?
No, normally...
you're all out of breath. Sorry. Do you need to take a breather?
No, that'll be fine. In our band, normally there's around 25 to 30 people.
Yep.
We have two bands. We have one adult band or a senior band, and we have a development band as well, which meets on a separate night of the week. We have about 15 young people in that band.
And what kind of... You say you're a charity. What kind of gigs are you playing? Gigs? Is it gigs is the right word for a brass band? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this weekend's going to be a very exciting weekend to be in Oney. We've got our Christmas celebration concert on Saturday night at the parish church. Then on Sunday, along with the rest of the town, we'll be all taking part in the Dickens of a Christmas celebrations in town as well. So there'll be loads of things going on. We take part in band contests, which is a bit of an unusual thing, perhaps, where bands go to a theatre and they play to an adjudicator who judges the best band. We take part in that. Recently, we went down to Crawley, down in East Sussex, and we won our competition down there.
Fantastic.
Up against another 10 bands, so that was really good. And we got the award for the best conductor and for the best musician in the bands as well.
Super. I want to speak to this young lady here. Look, I'm going to put you on the spot. Yes, I know. Come forward a little bit to this microphone. I know it's all... You've got everything... Well, just remind me what your name was.
Corrie.
Corrie, now, how old are you, Corrie?
14.
You're 14 years old. You're, a young lady. You're playing in a brass band. Do your mates not think you're a little bit odd?
I don't know. I've got a few friends that play instruments. One of my friends, Georgia, plays the guitar.
Right.
And so I think she's more with the style.
What is it? What is that you're playing?
A tenor horn.
A tenor horn, okay. And why did you gravitate towards that? Is it that because you're young that you start with that and then you end up with the big tuba at the end? Is that how it works?
I don't know if I'll be able to lift that.
It looks like it weighs a ton. The poor fella's out of breath. It looks massive.
Yeah.
But why did you go for that? What drew you to that?
This is actually my second instrument. I play a French horn, which isn't for a brass band.
Right.
So that's my main instrument, which I like playing, but I thought it'd be good to join in with a band, so I play this one in the brass band.
How long have you been playing for? When did you start playing?
Oh. I played this tenor horn for about 2 years.
And the French horn before that?
The French horn for about, I think, 5 or 6 years.
So when you're about 8 or 9 years old, you kind of started.
I think so.
Did your parents, because I've got little boys, and I want the 3-year-old loves already playing a ukulele, he likes to strum on that, and I would be worried about him learning a brass instrument, because it does sound amazing when it's played well, and you're playing it brilliantly, but I imagine the first 6 months are quite torturous for the parents.
I think...
the string players. Yeah, the string players, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think my parents used to it. This is my dad, and that's my brother. So
I see. It's a family-run business. I didn't realise. Okay, but
quite used to it.
You must be quite doing well then, isn't she? She's doing all right.
Yes, yeah, they are. They're all doing really well.
Yeah.
So all the young people in our band are doing really well, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
And any instruments that anybody plays, it gives kids so much confidence, so much enjoyment
of course it
to
does,
take part in any group activity. Ukuleles, recorders, violins, anything really.
Does your dad put pressure on you if you don't practice? Does he get a bit funny?
Well...
We'll discuss it after the show when he's not here. All right, listen, can we have another song? Get back into your lineup and your position. I'm loving this. This is fantastic, isn't it? A brass band live on the radio. It literally doesn't get any better than this. Oh, I'm being handed an instrument. Yes, I've got the sleigh bells. Let's have it. Away you go. You guys weren't bad. I'll be honest though, those sleigh bells, wasn't there? Because I didn't know I was going to get to play the sleigh bells. They were just handed to me. We hadn't rehearsed that. How often? I'm guessing Christmas is kind of the busiest. So I'll put these down now because they could be a little bit annoying. Christmas is probably the busiest time for you guys, isn't it?
Christmas is a very, very busy time for us, We have a concert tomorrow night. We have a concert on the 15th in Newport Pagnell with the Newport Pagnell Singers as part of their 50th celebrations. The week after, we've got the pantomime in Only Rugby Club, which is quite a raucous affair. And,
oh dear, yes. That could be, okay.
And then on the 23rd, we're at the Saints in Northampton as well, playing carols before the match there.
Brilliant.
So it's
Brilliant.
a fantastic
If
time
people
for us.
want to come and get involved with you, where do they go? I'm guessing you've got a website or something they can have a look at.
Log onto the website, onlybrass.com.
Yep.
And there's a link onto there, and they can contact me directly.
Okay. So I'm going to have a quick word with you, if I can. Can you just remind me of your name?
I'm Chris.
Chris, now, how did you get involved with all this nonsense?
Well, I originally started playing the cornet at 9 when I joined the Salvation Army and saw shiny brass instruments. And I came to Only Brass in 2004, I think it was.
So that's a cornet?
This is a cornet, yeah.
But what's the difference between that and a trumpet? Is that just being posh?
Yeah. Trumpet's a bit longer.
Right, okay,
basically.
I see. Okay, and so are you enjoying it there? You're getting ready for... I was going to ask in a minute, if you wouldn't mind, I hope you don't find this disrespectful, we're going to have the travel in a second. Would you mind playing underneath the travel? You play and I'll mess around with the volumes and they can do that. Is that okay? Yeah. Would you mind? Right, listen... hang on a second. We've got on the travel. Russell?
Yes, hello.
Do you mind if we have a brass band underneath you?
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Is that okay?
That would be brilliant.
I've fired off the little thing, so everyone's going to tune in. Just wait for them to start, Russell, and then you can come in. Ladies and gentlemen, at your leisure, let's have a little bit of brass for our travel bed. Away you go. Take it away, Russell.
Marvellous. M1, we had a report of an accident southbound just before junction 10 at Luton Airport, blocking the inside lane. Number of vehicles involved, causing delays towards there. Though the rest of the M1, not been so bad today. M25 is easing. There's still a little bit of slow traffic anti-clockwise just after junction 25, the turn for the A10 at Enfield. But the delays from Chorleywood round towards junction 16, the M40, have cleared after an accident earlier on. A1M still looks slow southbound, taking roughly 10 minutes to get between junctions 8 and 7, the two Stevenage turns. Then further into London from Stirling Corner to Apex Corner. The A120 looking very slow east at Puckeridge, going from the Puckeridge roundabout towards Bishop's Park Way. That stretch taking roughly 20 minutes, Ian, and very slow on Leston Road, Leighton Buzzard, going towards the Hotcliffe Street roundabout. Most other roads seem to be okay. I mean, it's busy in a lot of the usual places, I can see from the speed sensors, but nothing else particularly out of the ordinary. Thankfully not aware of any other accidents or incidents. One cancelled train on the Bedford to Bletchley line. It's the 9:33 from Bedford to Bletchley that is cancelled. That was brilliant, by the way. Fabulous.
Wasn't it fantastic,
It
Russell?
really was.
That makes the travel even more exciting.
Certainly does, and so much more festive.
I know. Do you want to finish off? Anything else you got?
No, Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you for being a good sport, Russell. Thank you so much for coming in. I bought the Christmas tree yesterday. We're decorating it today. You coming in has totally set me in the mood for Christmas.
The snow as well.
And the snow. Well, I'm hoping I can get
more.
Well,
we want more.
I'll send them in to you, David.
Send them in here, please. Yeah, thank you.
Very quickly, give the website out again one more time.
So, www.onlybrass.
Superb. Listen, have a fantastic Christmas. Thank you so much for coming in. Wasn't that fun, huh? That's it. That's your lot for this week. I'm back on Monday at 6 o'clock. Do stick around, because coming up, Jonathan Vernon-Smith, he's on a jolly. He's gone off on a jolly somewhere. But David Prever is filling in, and he's pretty darn good. Have a good weekend. Ta-ta.
Getting beds, hearts and bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian and the team, and thank you, the brass band, as well. Now I'm in the mood. Now I'm ready for Christmas.